Jackson State, home of legends like Grambling's Doug Williams, a Super Bowl champ with the Washington Redskins. And Walter Payton, Sweetness, one of the best running backs in NFL history. As these two teams renew one of the SWAC's best rivalries, the question is who will step up to approach the status of legend, Grambling State or Jackson State? And it's coming up next on ESPN Classic. ESPN Classic today comes to Jackson, Mississippi for a SWAC matchup as the Tigers of Grambling State University come in to take on the Tigers of Jackson State University. Hello again, everyone. Charlie Neal along with my partner Eddie Robinson Jr. and welcome to Jackson, Mississippi. And Eddie, you're talking about rivalries. This is one that goes all the way back to 1952, and it doesn't get much better than what we're going to see today.
Well, if you're a SWAC football fan, Grambling State versus Jackson State is all you need to hear to get excited about SWAC football. This Clash of the Titans in late October has been going back for a number of years, and it seems like the winner always goes on to win the SWAC title.
And when you're talking about the standings and how important this game is to both of these teams, you look at the Western Division, you have Jackson State. They are 4-0 in the West. In the Eastern Division, Grambling State is 5-0. And the success of this Grambling State team rests on the shoulders of a pair of good receivers.
Yeah, you have two senior receivers. The first one, Clyde Edwards, he's been doing it for a number of years. His 7 touchdowns is second in the conference. But you also have Reginald Jackson. This guy has come out of nowhere. Only 19 touchdowns on 19 receptions his first 3 years. Today, he leads the SWAC in receptions per game.
When you look at this Jackson State team, here's a team that started the season 0-2, but they've been hot as of late. They have won 4 straight conference games, and they're sitting in the driver's seat thanks to quarterback Jimmy Oliver.
And Jimmy Oliver is their guy. He has to be more consistent. He's an athlete. He can run, and he can also throw. 3 touchdown passes last week versus Southern University, but he also had 3 interceptions. If he can eliminate the mistakes, he can get the Tigers in the end zone a lot today.
56th time that these two teams have met. It's Grambling and Jackson State. Grambling has won the last 2. Back with the opening kickoff in a moment. Back here at Veterans Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi for this SWAC matchup. Grambling State University going against Jackson State University. And there you see the head coach of the Tigers of Grambling State in his first season there. Rod Broadway had much success at the Division II level and the CIAA at North Carolina Central University. On the other side, his counterpart, Rick Comagee, who also had success on the Division II level at Tuskegee University. And he is here in his second season as the head coach at Jackson State. And in 2 seasons, he's won more games than the previous coach did in 3. James Bell only won 3 games, or make that 8 games in 3 seasons, while Rick Comagee has won 10 in just 2 seasons. And you look at the series history, the last 2 games won by Grambling. Grambling leads at 33-21-1. The first meeting ended in a tie. Grambling has won the last 6 of the last 7, 2 in a row. The last matchup a year ago, Grambling won it 36-7, and that was down in Grambling, Louisiana. What are you expecting this game today, Eddie?
Well, first of all, you have expectations. Look at all of the fans that you have here for this football game. This Grambling State, Jackson State matchup has been the one that has years. I think you have to have Grambling State is going to have to get Brandon Landers going early with the passing game so they can be effective. Of course, Jackson State has Jimmy Oliver. They just have to settle him down. If he can have a good start, he can go on and have a real big day for the Jackson State Tigers.
Well, it should be a good one. When you're talking about these two teams, you look on the sideline of Jackson State over there, and they started the season, as we said, 0-2. They lost to Delta State 27-15. And by 3 to Tennessee State, gave up a 35-yard field goal in the last play of the game. And that was the demise of the Tigers of Jackson State against Tennessee State. Then they won 4 straight, knocking off Texas Southern, Mississippi Valley, Alabama State, and Southern a week ago. A big win down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On the other side, Grambling started off with a win over Alcorn. Their only loss of the season came on a 34-10 decision by Pitt. And then they beat Alabama A&M, Prairie View, Mississippi Valley, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. And you're talking about SWAC championships. Grambling State has 21, Southern 19, Jackson State 15. 3 of those SWAC championships for the Grambling Tigers has occurred since the SWAC championship was inaugurated back in 1999.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Grambling State has been having some success also in the 90s and the 2000s. If you look at Jackson State, their last SWAC title was back in 1996. That's 11 years ago. And that's why you have Coach Comegys here to get things going. They want to take this field with a swagger and be the old Jackson State team.
And Jackson State kicking off to start this contest. Thompson on the return for the Tigers of Grambling, and he's out to the 23-yard line, and that's where the Tigers of Grambling State will go to work. First down and 10 at their own 23. They'll get the ball for the first possession of the ball game. One of the things you talk to Coach Rick Comegys, and he'll tell you that if he wins the toss, he's going to defer and put his defense on the field. Brandon Landers is the quarterback for the Tigers of Grambling State University. He has led them to this 5-1 mark, and he's out of Monroe, Louisiana. First down and 10 as this game just getting underway here. In the backfield, he has Frank Warren along with the fullback Corey Patterson, and it's a ball on the ground. Looks like a fumble there, but Grambling able to fall on it. Marcus Jameson was there to make the hit. There he is, number 56 there. As you look at the Grambling offense, Kareem, Smith, Cockrell, Williams, and Bennett are the linemen up front. In the backfield, Frank Warren, Clyde Edwards, Reggie Jackson, Nick Lewis. The tight end is Larry Donald. The second down and 10. This time on the ground, they keep it. And they get out to the 30-yard line, a gain of 7 on the play. Sam Washington on the stop. Defensively, as you see him leading the defensive alignment for Jackson State, along with Corey Clark, Dennis Coit, and Daniel Brooks. The linebackers, Willie Williams, Marcellus Speaks, Marcus Jameson, and Malcolm Palmer. And the secondary, LeBrose Hedgeman, Dominique Johnson, and Keith Camp. And Hedgeman is the young man who transferred from Notre Dame.
Yes, he is. He's a good player. Malcolm Palmer, he's also in that secondary. He's going to be a guy that's going to have to match up with Clyde Edwards and also Reginald Jackson in this Grambling passing attack.
3rd and 3. Play action. Landers throws complete out of the backfield, but they get the first down on the pass completion to Frank Warren there, and that's his 9th reception of the year. Jeremy Pierce on the stop defensively for Jackson State.
Now, you see a lot of this because Brandon Landers is a very smart quarterback. He will take what the defense gives you. He'll go down the field and test you, but you look for the receivers coming out of the backfield, the bubble screens, the wide receiver screens. They throw a lot of high percentage passes, so then they rely on the run after catch in order to get the big play.
And that was a 3rd down play in which they're 39% in that department so far this year. First down and 10. Warren, the lone setback there. They're going out of the shotgun. He wants to put it in the air. As it dropped in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. And that was Reggie Jackson, the intended receiver, a year ago. These are the numbers that Brandon Landers put up. He was 18 of 36, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. But this year, he's the number 3 passer in the SWAC, and he's also ranked 3rd in total offense. Second down, 10 after the incompletion. This time it's Warren on the carry to the right. Warren turns the corner, and Warren is out of bounds at the 46-yard line, and it's Willie Williams who takes him down on the near sideline right in front of the Jackson State bench. And he's very close to another first down. And you talk about Frank Warren, he is a true freshman out of Pleasant Grove, Alabama. He was a SWAC newcomer of the week against Arkansas Pine Bluff, 92 yards and 2 touchdowns a week ago.
And the biggest thing about that, his backup, Cornelius Walker, is also a freshman. So you have 2 freshman running backs who are being very effective for this Grambling State offense this year.
And Warren is the lone setback on 3rd down and 1, and he gets the ball, gets the first down across midfield into Jackson State territory before he's finally stopped down there. And on the stop was Marcellus Speaks, number 56.
in Grambling State, if you can't stop the run, just keep going at them. They're finding a lot of soft spots in that defensive line for Jackson State. And the defensive line and the linebackers are the strength of this Jackson State team. They've been effective stopping the run all year long. We'll see if they come up with some run blitzes to try to stop this running attack by Grambling State.
This is the opening drive for the Tigers of Grambling. They move from their own 23 to the 48 of Jackson State. Little short pass trying to go over the middle. This goes incomplete. Tim Abney, the tight end, was the intended receiver. Jackson State's defense. Here it ranks first in the SWAC in total yards, second in rushing yards, third in points allowed, and second in sacks. And in the nation, as far as the championship subdivision, they're ranked second in passing efficiency defense, third in total defense, 10th in tackles for loss, 12th in pass defense, and 16th in scoring defense. It is second down and 10 for Grambling. Landers, plenty of time, incomplete. Good hit on the defensive side of the ball to make sure that that was, are they going to call it a catch?
Yes, Charlie, he got his helmet knocked off, but he was able to hold on to the football.
Oh, that was the helmet that came loose. Okay, Dominique Johnson put the hit on him and knocked the helmet loose. I thought the ball came loose.
That's the same thing I saw, but you see, look at Brandon Lathers going across the middle. And if you're running those deep end routes, hey, you're going to get hit. But great job of holding on to the football even after you lose your helmet.
Reggie Jackson on the reception, first down and 10. Reggie Jackson, senior out of Birmingham's Parker High, his 40th reception of the year. #1 receiver in the SWAC. Here's a swing pass out in the flat, and it's complete. Still on his feet and cutting back inside and down to about the 14-yard line. On the catch is Reggie Jackson. 2 big catches for the senior out of Birmingham's Parker High.
Yeah, and Reggie Jackson, I mean, just look at him with this route. I mean, it's not so much the catch, but look what he does after the catch. Just the way he can make people miss in short spaces. Now, this guy only had 19 receptions in his first 3 seasons at Grambling. Already, he has 39 receptions and is leading the conference in receptions per game. And this is because of Clyde Edwards. You have to put all that attention on Clyde Edwards, and you have a guy like Reginald Jackson who can really burn you as the second receiver. And he stepped up this game in 2007.
No question about it. 2 receptions today. And here's straight ahead goes Warren. Warren at the 2-yard line. Finally brought down at the 2-yard line by Dominique Johnson. But it's going to be first and goal for the Tigers of Grambling, who has taken this opening kickoff and driven all the way down the field.
I mean, very impressive drive because they're running the football and they're also mixing it up with the passing game. The short passes, the run after catch, that's the things that Ron Broadway wants his team to do.
So it'll be first and goal, red zone offense for the Grambling Tigers this year. They have put the ball in the end zone 13 times, 6 by way of the run. And here's a fade pass, and this is going to be incomplete. Clyde Edwards was the intended receiver, and it's going to be second down.
Jackson State, I mean, the fans here are somewhat stunned because they're used to this Jackson State defense, and they've been playing it pretty good last year and this year also, with defensive coordinator Darren Hayes coming over with Rick Comagese. So this is something that they're not used to seeing, their team getting drove down the field like this on an opening drive.
Walker, Warren, and Patterson in the backfield. Well, actually, they got a tackle as a fullback back there, and they're going to give it to Walker this time, and he's in. The other freshman, Cornelius Walker, with his first carry, he takes it in for his 3rd rushing touchdown this year. Walker with a 2-yard run.
Great execution by Grambling State on this drive. These guys, everything is working. The passing is working, the running is working, and they're just doing a good job. And then you get into the red zone on the 2-yard line to punch it in for that touchdown. Another talented freshman, Cornelius Walker for Grambling State.
Tim Manuel for the point after. He's only missed 2 this year. 16 of 18. This one is up, and it is good. 7-0. Grambling takes the opening drive, and they go all the way down the field, 77 yards. And here's Mr. Walker, the freshman out of Atlanta, Georgia's Mays High. He takes it in, his 3rd rushing touchdown of this 2007 football season.
There you come with the T formation, and you see the big tackle, number 73, William Nance, leading the way. Hey, if I'm a Walker, I just get right on his number 7 and go on into the end zone.
They put the big guy up there to do some blocking for the Grambling Tigers. William Nance, he's only 300 pounds, out of Great Mills, Maryland. The fabulous freshmen, they call him, Frank Warren and Cornelius Walker. They've combined for 80% of the team's rushing attempts, 92% of the team's yards, and 4 of the 7 rushing touchdowns, make it 5 of the 8 so far this season. And each one of them have had 100-yard games. Cornelius Walker had a 100-yard game against Prairie View. He gained 109. Frank Warren's had 2 this year. He had 143 against Alcorn and 104 against Mississippi Valley.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Rod Broadway when he came to Grambling State this year. He said, I didn't really know what to expect from this team. He had to go through spring practice and also the fall, but he didn't know how they would survive against SWAC competition. I mean, his prayers have been answered, because now they're 5-0 within the conference, and you have 2 freshmen who step up, and Frank Warren and the Cornelius Walker. That's highly unlikely that you can recruit 2 guys who are both highly successful in the running game.
Jackson State will bring it back up the field. This is Justin Baylor on the return, and he is stopped at about the 17-yard line. So Jackson State gets the ball for the first time today, and they're trailing by a score of 7-0. There's a timeout on the field. 10:39 remaining first quarter. 7-0 Grambling. Grambling State looking very impressive on the opening drive of this ball game to take a 7-0 lead. On the other side, you see Rick Comegys, and there's Jimmy Oliver, the quarterback, getting the first opportunity for Jackson State to try to do something. Eric Hall gets the call, and maybe a yard, and that's all he's going to get before he's brought down by Donald Williams. As we look at the offensive alignment for Jackson State up front, Michael Smith, Eric Jones, Antonio Colston, Ben Davis, and Michael Harshaw. As far as the backs and receivers, we have Eric Hall back there, along with Jamil Owens, Timothy Clark, Jamar Johnson, and Rodney Gray are the receivers. 2nd down and 9 after a gain of 1. They work out of the I formation now, shift into the shotgun. Jimmy Oliver, and he gives off to Eric Hall. Eric trying to go to the right side, and he gets across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Let's look at Grambling's defense. John Scroggins, a good one up front, along with Melvin Matthews, Jason Banks, and Christian Anthony. The linebackers for the Tigers of Grambling, John Carter, Keith Hall, and Zaire Wilborn. And the defensive secondary, Gabriel Fleming, Jeffrey Jack, the Rover, DeMichael Dizer, and Nigel Copeland. Making 3rd down. Jackson State in 3rd down conversions this year, 34%. Oliver from the shotgun, complete. And the first down gain, and still on his feet and getting extra yards, Carlos Simpson. And Simpson out of Detroit, Michigan, the transfer from the University of Cincinnati, gives them yards all the way across the 35 before Jeffrey Jack makes the stop.
Yeah, good throw and catch, but you need this extra effort. This is all Carlos Simpson as far as getting that first down, and that's the type of effort you're going to have to take. Jackson State wants to come out here like they expect to win and play with confidence. Simpson has confidence that he can make plays today.
So they pick up the 3rd down. And a big play by Simpson. Oliver again throws, and it's incomplete. Very close to being intercepted by Kenneth Agnew. There he is, number 13 there, the cornerback out of Jackson, Louisiana.
And Jimmy Oliver, you have to be careful with him early on, because this is a quarterback that's hot and cold. When he has confidence, he can be dynamite, but you don't want him to get into a negative situation early where he gets down on himself.
56% of the passes he's thrown coming in have been completed. And out of the 7 touchdowns, he's had also 5 interceptions this year. It is 2nd down and 10. Under pressure, steps up, has some time, lets it go, has a man open, complete down the sideline, still on his feet, and going for the touchdown is Christopher Johnson. It'll be a touchdown, Jackson State. His 2nd touchdown of the year, just broke a tackle and was determined to get into the end zone.
That's what the Jackson State fans are used to seeing. They're used to seeing big plays. You have guys like Jimmy Smith who's played at this program, and they know how to make big plays. But come back to Chris Johnson. This play was really made by Jimmy Oliver. Just the things he can do in the pocket to buy time. And then you see a Chris Johnson who can take one, break a tackle, and put it into the end zone.
Good for 71 yards. And here for the point after, Eric Perry, who's only missed one PAT this year. SWAC's leading scorer with 50 points coming into this contest. He's on for the point after. And this one is good, and we're all tied, but we have a penalty flag down. Let's see what the marker is all about. The first penalty marker of the ball game. But you cannot take the 6 points off the board, and the great run by Chris Johnson after the catch. And apparently the penalty is going to be against Grambling. Offsides, and here it is. Jimmy Oliver creating some space. Gets it over the hands of John Carter, the linebacker. Chris Johnson does the rest. Legs it all the way down. 71 yards, and we're tied at 7 apiece. We knew this was going to be a good one coming in. You look at the two teams and the fact that they're both leading their divisions in the SWAC 7-7 early on. One took a hit and the other one took the punch.
I tell you what, the fans are going to get their money's worth today. I mean, you can tell these are the two powerhouses in the conference, the way it used to be back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And both of these teams have come out to play some football today.
Just hold on to your seats. We've got fireworks already, and we haven't even finished the first quarter. Still 8 minutes to go. Grambling on the return. Reggie Jackson bringing it up the field. Cuts it to the outside and up to the 40, 45, outrunning the fumbles the ball. And Jackson has it at midfield. He just lost the ball.
And he may have scored. I mean, he was pretty much counting his change. He thought he was going to be in the end zone, and he just lost the football after a great return.
Kevin Muriel recovers for Jackson State. But more importantly, what looked like it was going to be a touchdown run by the very dangerous Reggie Jackson, he just lost the football.
Yeah, just lost the football. I mean, he already had his move planned on how I'm going to beat the kicker and get into the end zone. Great return, but he just lost the handle on the football. Hey, that's a big opportunity for Jackson State to make something happen because they were on their heels. And usually you don't see a kicker that can tackle a guy like Reginald Jackson in the open field. That should be 7 points for Grambling State.
No question. Kevin Muriel, the senior from Brandon, Mississippi, created that action at midfield now. 1st and 10. Play action to Eric Hall. Down the sideline again. And it's caught at the 10. 1st and goal, Jackson State.
Number 83, Jamar Johnson.
Yeah.
And he's the big play guy for Jackson State. That's the guy that Jimmy Oliver likes to go to when he goes up top. And you like the call by offensive coordinator James Woody. Hey, you get a break. You almost gave up a touchdown on your kickoff return team. But now, hey, come back, go up top. Play action fake. The defense isn't ready. Great throw and catch. Jamar Johnson with the big play for Jackson State.
And Jamar did a great job going over Jeffrey Drack, the strong safety, to pull that one in. Good for 41 yards. 1st and goal, Jackson. They're coming to play today. And here is Eric Hall. He's met in the line. He will not get away from Jason Banks. Big number 95, the senior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, and Jason Banks says, not so fast, Mr. Neal. Grambling State has a defense out here, too. And this guy is one of the people that is a team leader on his team. So you need guys like that. Hey, things are getting a little bit unsettled. You're on the road. Let's get a big play on 1st down. A tackle for loss is so much harder to get into the end zone when you're stopped on that 1st down play.
1st and make that 2nd down and goal for Jackson State from the 10-yard line. Eric Hall in the backfield, running from the shotgun. And they go on the end around. Jamar Johnson trying to get there. He fumbles it and gets it back. And it was Jeffrey Jack who came up to make the stop and create the fumble.
Yeah, coming up from that strong safety rover position, Jeffrey Jack. I mean, this is just a great job. But first of all, having the discipline to be in your spot. When they run those end arounds, they're trying to fool the defense. Then you're in your spot and you also make a great tackle and cause a fumble. Jackson State, very opportunistic to get back on it, but they've had a dodge one right there because Jeffrey Jack made a great play.
3rd and goal from the 15. They have lost 6 yards on this drive. Here we go again. Jamar Johnson, and he's down to the 8-yard line before he is stopped by Nigel Copeland, number 8 there. And Nigel a little shaken up. He's going to have to come out.
And you look at the play calling by Jackson State, you had the big play to get into the red zone, but what you saw after that was pretty much ball control offense, because what they don't want to do is to make a mistake and take points off the board. They have a very talented kicker in Eric Perry, so they feel like he can make these kicks since he's been doing it over the years. The worst thing you can do is get a turnover in this situation. Run safe plays, the wide receiver, the end around, stuff like that. And if you get a touchdown, great. If not, you kick the field goal.
25-yard attempt by Eric Perry, the sophomore out of Miami. He's 11 of 13 so far this season in field goals. This one is up, and this one is good. And Jackson takes the 3-point lead. Big play. And we'll be back. 10-7 our score here in Jackson, Mississippi. Eric Perry, the sophomore out of Miami, what a season he's had. Field goals this season, 12 of 14. He has hit 3 field goals in each of the last 3 ball games. Against Mississippi Valley, Alabama State, and Southern U. His only miss is he had a 22-yarder block against Tennessee State, a 39-yarder against Texas Southern, and he came into the game as the leading scorer in the SWAC, 50 points, averaging 8.3 points per game. And Jeremy Lycia was in second place. Now Jeremy jumped ahead of him on Thursday night because Jeremy got 12 points on a field goals and extra points in their game against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Here's the Jackson State Tiger, or Grambling Tiger, I should say.
A lot of tigers.
There's a lot of tigers out here. There's somebody's tiger. This will be in the end zone, and it's going to be brought out again by Reggie Jackson. But I'll tell you, Terrence Jones said, you're not going far on this one. You may not get a chance to fumble it, but you're not going to get up to the 10-yard line.
Well, I tell you what, Charlie, as a former player in this conference playing against Jackson State and Grambling, you see a lot of big hits like this. I've been on the receiving end of some of these because these two teams are very physical, and that's how you finish off a tackle. Hey, you just ran a big kickoff return against my team once. Next time, we're going to bury you at the 8-yard line.
No question. And he is buried. Ryan Rich. There he is. From the 8, the second possession for the Grambling Tigers has been 1 turnover in the ball game, and that has resulted in a field goal by Jackson State. There's only been 1 penalty flag, and that was refused. So pretty well played ball game so far. Pass over the middle, goes in and out of the hands of Abney, the intended receiver, the tight end.
I tell you, the referees don't want to throw any flags today. They're enjoying a good football game just like us.
No question about it. You're talking about our officiating crew headed by Richard Drake out of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And we haven't heard from him today. That's a good thing.
Well, Drake, I mean, I know Drake. He's out of Birmingham, Alabama. And there's a guy, he's told me, hey, when I have a good football game, the best thing we can do is just stay out of the way and let the players play unless they do something that we just have to throw a flag for.
No question about it. It is 2nd down and 10. Delay in the backfield. Nothing doing for Warren as Daniel Brooks was there to make the stop immediately. There he is, number 2. A transfer from Tennessee, preseason second-team all-conference selection.
Yeah, and Daniel Brooks, I mean, he's known for his pass rush, a guy who moved from linebacker to defensive end, 6'4", 240, only a junior. This guy can flat-out play football, 4.5 tackles for loss and 3 sacks. He can get it done from the defensive end position.
No question about it, and what a play he had there out of Jackson, Tennessee, from Central High down in Jackson. Came to Jackson State and Tennessee back in 2004. He had 13 games in which he played between his career while he was at the University of Tennessee, and matriculated here to Jackson State and is making his presence felt on the defensive side of the ball. And don't forget, after all the college football games are played this weekend, ESPN Classic picks the best game from the ESPN family of networks and gives you a second chance to see it. It's the college football game of the week on ESPN Classic, and it comes your way Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. Along with Eddie Robinson, here at Veterans Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi, where it's a great crowd on hand on the near side of the field. In fact, on the Jackson State stands, and Grambling didn't do too bad in bringing some people down from Louisiana, did they?
I think everybody knew that this was the game of the year in the SWAC conference so far. I mean, Jackson State 4-0 in the conference, Grambling State 5-0. Of course, Jackson is trying to get back to the glory days of yesteryear. Haven't won a SWAC title since 1996. But when you start off 4-0 under second-year coach Rick Comagese, the whole city is excited about the Jackson State Tiger football program.
This Jackson State team was in the first ever SWAC championship game that was played back in 1999, and they lost that one by 1 point to Southern University, 31-30. But right now, third down and long, facing Grambling State University. Back into the own end zone, a long pass down the field, and this is going to be incomplete. The officials do not throw a flag, and the Grambling sideline is beside themselves as Keith Camp is covering downfield.
Now that's just good defense, Charlie. That's all that is. I mean, I like what Grambling's doing. You take a shot deep, backed up, but Keith Camp has the makeup speed, and he uses the long left hand and keeps the right hand off the receiver.
And he played the ball.
That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. That's just a great defensive play by Keith Camp. And hey, Grambling can be upset, but that's an incomplete pass all day long.
Here's Keith Camp. What a story he has. He had a rough life growing up in Dayton, Ohio. No dad, mom on drugs, raised by his grandma, 6 brothers. Went to junior college in Bakersfield, California. As this is a short punt, and Jackson State's going to have good field position. Jamar Johnson loses the football, and Grambling has it. Jamar Johnson reversed his field, lost the football, and it is Aaron Brown who's come up with it. Is it Aaron Brown, or let's see, it might be T.J. McCobb.
And Jamar Johnson, he already has a return for a touchdown this year, averaging 13 yards on the punt returns. Just tried to do a little bit too much. And what you're seeing today is kids are just having supreme amount of effort. Both of these teams really want to win extremely bad, so you try to do a little bit more than you used to, and you wind up taking a big hit. It's a lot of big hits that are causing these turnovers. It's not sloppy play.
At the Jackson State 44-yard line, Grambling gets new life. Play action now. Landers under pressure, throws, has it complete inside the 25 and down to the 20-yard line. On the reception is Reggie Jackson, brought down by Malcolm Palmer, but a first down gain, and the chains move forward.
Yeah, and Reginald Jackson, he's been the guy that has stepped up today in this whole season. Look at 2 guys covering him. It doesn't matter. He still gets the separation and the stiff arm to run after catch. Reginald Jackson definitely guards attention for this Grambling State offense.
Brandon Landers running the offense for Rod Broadway. And nothing doing this time as they try to keep it on the ground and go straight ahead, as Marcellus Speaks was there to make the stop. The linebacker, leading tackler on this team, a junior out of Provine High, homegrown kid right here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, a lot of good players right here in Jackson. You have Provine High, Callaway, Murrah, all of these good high schools in the city of Jackson, and that's something that Rick Comagese knows that he has to attack when he's recruiting, because you have a lot of great players right here in this city.
Frank Warren, the freshman, the only back in the backfield behind the quarterback Landers, who wants to put it in the air. Has a little time. It's tipped, and it's going to be incomplete. The man who got his hands on it was Marcus Jameson, number 19, that tipped it in the air. The outside linebacker out of Brookville, Mississippi. There he is.
I tell you, it's a good thing he tipped that ball.
Yeah.
If not, he'd be lining up for the PAT block, because there was a receiver open behind him. But when you're playing linebacker, that's what you have to do. There's nothing in front of you. Just keep sinking, read the quarterback's eyes, and try to get into the throwing lane.
One of the things we know that Grambling likes to do is go to the short side of the field, which is on the near hash mark. Let's see what happens on this play on 3rd down and 10. They're working out of the shotgun this time. 3 wide receivers on the left side. Landers has a little room up the middle, decides to take off and run, and he's going to be getting the first down right at the 10-yard line. Finally brought down by Willie Williams, but not before he scrambled for the necessary yards needed for the first down.
Yeah, and Landers isn't known as a big-time rusher, but look how the lane opens up. No one's in the middle of the field. Hey, no sliding. I need a first down. It's 3rd and 10. I like his effort going over the top to get that first down.
And he's rushed for 2 touchdowns this year, Eddie. So with 2:50 to go here and the clock ticking in the first quarter, 1st and goal for the Grambling Tigers, and they're trying to regain the lead in this contest. They scored on the opening drive, went all the way down the field on their first drive, and now a timeout's being called by Jackson State as Darren Hayes, the defensive coordinator, wants to talk things over. But Jackson State found themselves on the short end of a 7-0 score as they took it down the field on the opening drive. That is Grambling, 12 plays, 77 yards, used up 4:09 off the clock, and Walker took it in on a 2-yard run. But then Jackson State came right back. Jimmy Oliver with a 71-yard pass to Chris Johnson that tied the score. Eric Perry's 25-yard field goal made it 10-7, and that's the way we stand at this juncture. 56 times that these two teams have met. Grambling has won the last 2. You know, you talk about Coach Rod Broadway on the sideline there. You know, he says this team is on schedule to be good. You know, they had to buy into his philosophy. First-year coach, a lot of things you have to adjust to with a new coach coming in, and those players have been able to believe in him.
Yeah, I mean, they were coming off of a 3-8 season, but you still had a lot of talent at Grambling. So all he did was have to get those guys to believe in each other and believe in what he was selling them. And when you come out the gate and you go 5-1 to start the season, it's kind of easy to sell that.
Yeah, last season this team was 3-8. You know, in 05 they were 11-1, so it was kind of interesting to see how they fell on hard times, even though there's a Bumarewski. They always have these trick plays, and here it is trying to come to the near side, but it doesn't fool the Jackson State defense. They were ready for it as they tried to run it with Frank Warren, and Antonio, make that Marcus Jameson was there to make the stop defensively, so it's 2nd down and goal.
And that's something that Rick Comagie's told us that they have to be aware of, because Grambling State is known for putting in a trick play here or there. And usually those plays come after a timeout. So as a defensive player, when they come out of from the sideline real quick and line up, everybody has to put their antennas on because something is up.
Something is up. They tried it that time, and they will do all kinds of things to lull you into a false sense of security. On 2nd and goal from the 10-yard line. From the shotgun is Brandon Landers. Under a little pressure, throws it under duress. It's incomplete. Boy, the pressure was being put on there by Marcus Bernard.
Yeah, very dangerous pass by Brandon Landers, but also great arm strength because he was wrapped up. I didn't know how he was going to get that ball out to the flat, but it was very close to still being a completion.
Here it is, number 80. Look at him coming for the Tigers of Jackson State. Marcus Bernard, junior out of Ypsilanti, Michigan, right down the street from Ann Arbor.
Yeah, he's coming into the game with 4 sacks and 6.5 tackles for loss. He's another one of those big play defensive ends that they have in his roster. Him and Daniel Brooks, who we've already seen early in the game.
Yeah, he's one of the best defensive players on this squad. Who originally was going to go to Grand Valley and decided to, who was the Division II champs, and decided to come here. Landers into the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Reggie Jackson, 4th down. So that'll bring on the field goal unit of Tim Manuel. He is 7 of 10 in field goals this year.
Yeah, Landers is just trying to work the back of the end zone. He came up with one hand. Would have been a tough catch. I think he may have saw that safety coming over from the middle of the field, realizing, hey, if I try to extend for that football, I may take a big hit.
26-yard field goal attempt by Manuel, who's missed 3 this year from 36, 45, and 51, as long as it's 38. This one will be a 26-yard attempt. This one is up. No good. No good, off to the right.
There's a flag on the play also.
Yeah, we may have given him new life. Let's see if the defense was offside. Normally that's the indication. But he did not make it. Manuel.
Yes, offsides on the defense. That's a costly mistake for Jackson State because you're going to give him another chance to make this kick.
First penalty of the ball game is being enforced. The other one came on an offsides on the point after Jackson State scored, which was declined.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
Still 4th down. So now the field goal will be a little shorter for Manuel. Instead of a 26-yarder, it'll be a 21-yarder. Those are the kind of mistakes that coaches don't sleep. Reason they don't sleep at night.
Because you're just giving him 3 points. You had him stopped and he missed the kick.
Yeah. Double jeopardy, right? He didn't miss this one. And it's all tied at 10 apiece. So with 1:37 to go, each team here in the first quarter has taken advantage of the other team's mistakes. Both come away with field goals after fumble recoveries. And of course, this is the 40th anniversary of Jackson State playing here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. And there's a program that goes all the way back to 1967. Of course, Rod Page was a coach of that first game played here, and they played the Grambling Tigers in that contest back in 1967. Harold Jackson is in attendance today. Hall of Famer. And here's Jackson State, built in 1941. The Veterans Memorial Stadium, that is, built in 1941, owned by the state of Mississippi. And it has a 60,000 seating capacity. And Grambling won that game 20-14 in Jackson won that game 20-14 in 1967. That was the only game that Grambling lost that year. They went on to finish 9-1 and become the Black National champs in that particular season. Jackson State finished the season 6-3, 1967, and a lot of those team members are in attendance here today.
That tells you the history and the legacy behind these two programs, that they have that tradition going back that far.
At the 4-yard line, Giles bringing it back up for Jackson State, brings it across the 25 to the 27. Suckman on the stop. The year that was in 1967, going back to when these two teams first played here in this stadium. Lyndon Johnson was the president. Gasoline 33 cents a gallon. They hadn't even put the $2 on the front of that. Then price of stamps was 5 cents. Top TV show was Andy Griffith, and the Heisman Trophy winner was Gary Beeman. And of course, the runner-up was O.J., who went on to eventually win it.
Then you talk about him, man, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, who used to play at Veterans Memorial Stadium. So Jackson State actually had to get permission to start playing in the stadium back in 1967.
First down and 10. Minute 31 left in the first quarter. Eric Hall into the gut of the defense, and nothing doing for him that time. A lot of white jerseys around to make the stop defensively, led by Donald Williams, number 96.
In this Grambling State defense, when these guys play some good defensive involvement, they're ranked very high in a lot of the different categories. So it's going to be tough going just running the football against Grambling State. Look, rushing yards allowed. They're 6th in Division 1AA with a football championship subdivision. Total yards allowed. And the biggest thing, what I like to see, is points allowed. They're only giving up 14.7 points per game.
Yeah, they're not giving up a lot of points at all. Oliver going back to pass. Under a little pressure back there, and he's not going to get away. Right there to make the stop is Melvin Matthews, the defensive tackle, the junior out of Clinton, Mississippi. Last year injury plagued, but he's playing a whale of a season this year.
And the big guy just breaking free. But you know what? This is a smart play by Jimmy Oliver. And I'll tell you why. The offensive line let him down. Okay, you have big Melvin Matthews coming through there. What you going to do? Just take the sack. Usually Jimmy would try to do something too much with the football. He'd just try to throw one out there and make a mistake. That's how he had those 3 interceptions last week. Sometimes you can't get anything out of the play. Just move on and play the next down.
All at the 13. They have to get up to the 37-yard line to get a first down. So it's 3rd and a lot of real estate here for Jimmy Oliver. He's letting this one fly. Nobody's going to get this. It's over everybody's head. So the 4 white jerseys closer to the ball than it was anybody from Jackson State. As the first quarter comes to an end here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. 40th anniversary of Jackson State playing football here in this stadium. It's all tied at 10.
ESPN College Football Game of the Week, 9 a.m. Sundays on ESPN Classic.
And Miss Grambling in attendance here in Jackson, Mississippi for this SWAC matchup. It is 4th down facing Jackson State. Brett Bennett will punt for the first time today. Reggie Jackson, the dangerous one, is deep to receive it. He'll field it right at about the 46-yard line. Gets to the corner, has some room down the sideline, cuts it back in and is down to the 32-yard line before Daniel Brooks made the stop. They're going to say stepped out at the 35, and that's where they're going to mark it. But still great field position for the Tigers of Grambling.
I mean, all-purpose yards. Reginald Jackson has been the man today for Grambling State. Just a great job of blocking. Hey, a good punt returner, you have to make the first guy miss. After that, he gets up the sideline. Also, the blockers are picking up people. And what I like about him, he's always trying to cut back. There's no running out of bounds for Reginald Jackson. He gets every yard out of the return.
So far, Brandon Landers, 4 of 13, 64 yards. Longest pass is 24, but they have the ball in great field position to start this second quarter. Off to the right side is Walker. Walker, first down, still on his feet and out of bounds, but not before he gets first down yardage. But a marker is down all the way back at the 35, which is in the vicinity of holding. And that's what it is. It's going to be against Grambling.
Whenever you have a guy turn the corner like that with no defender in sight, usually
something's going on.
You're pulling on the jersey and not letting him make that tackle that he desperately wants to make. Of course, the Grambling State coaching staff disagrees right in front of them.
Our referee, Richard Drake.
Holding number 71 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Remain first down.
Let's look. I believe that might have been on 70, Randall Bennett, the right tackle. There it is right there. And here we go. All the way down to the 28-yard line on the run is Walker. Brought down by Dominique Johnson.
Look at this Grambling State running tackle. They've been going right down the pipe, just man-on-man blocking. And this Jackson State defense has been very good against the run all year. But when you have that type of team speed against the defense, don't try to go around the edge. Just go straight at them. If you get past that first wave, you can get some big running plays, and that's what Grambling State has been doing so far.
That is 2nd down and 3 after that good run by Walker. Landers up to that point, the leading rusher for this Grambling team. Walker trying to go to the left side, gets around one man, and a flag goes down. We're going to get holding, and this is going to be a call against Clyde Edwards, I believe. Dominique Johnson on the stop defensively for the Tigers of Jackson State. But there's a marker down, and I believe it's going to be on Clyde Edwards, the wide receiver.
Trying to run those stretch running plays. Clyde Edwards is trying to throw a block. You really like that when your receiver, 7 touchdown receptions on the year, is out there throwing a block. But receivers don't throw blocks all the time, so they really don't know how to keep those hands inside.
Of the offense, 10-yard penalty. Remain 2nd down.
So the ball spotted all the way back to the 38-yard line. Still going to be 2nd down and about 3. Because it was marked from the spot of the infraction. Play action this time. Landers with time. Throws. And no gain on the play on the reception as Marcellus Speaks was right there on the back, coming out of the backfield, Cornelius Walker. You're talking about keys for this particular ball game, Eddie.
Yeah, first of all, if you're Grambling State, you have to win the turnover battle. Each team has had a turnover today, so you're okay in that department. You're getting pressure on Jimmy Oliver. You had a sack, but the third one, and most importantly, you have to have some type of consistency in offense. You looked at the first couple of drives, it looked like they were going to blow Jackson State out of the water. Now you come back and you get 2 holding penalties, and that's what I'm talking about when you have to have that consistency from drive to drive if you're Grambling State's offense.
And it's 3rd down, still 3 to go for Grambling State. Landers lets it fly, has it complete, and it's Clyde Edwards with the reception, and he's right at the first down marker. Dominique Johnson there to make sure he doesn't go any further. Maybe we may have another penalty flag now. And the Grambling State coaching staff is really beside themselves on the sideline.
The 3 penalties on 1 drive.
We saw that a week ago. We were doing a game in South Carolina where South Carolina State allowed Florida A&M to drive all the way down the field on defensive
Number
penalties.
73 of the offense, 10-yard penalty, remain 3rd down.
And that's 3 holding penalties on this drive. Remember, they had the first down. They keep moving back. They keep moving back. They keep moving back.
Well, first of all, to overcome 2 holding penalties on 1 drive and complete a pass for a first down is huge. But then to get another holding penalty to negate that big play, I don't think Grambling State is in a position to come up with a 3rd and forever play now.
Yeah, they marked all the way back to the 48-yard line. They have to get to the 25 for a first down. Landers, strong arm. It is caught for a touchdown by Clyde Edwards.
Well, I tell you what, that's why I'm in the booth, because I didn't think they had any chance of getting the first down on a 3rd and 20-something play. But give it up for Clyde Edwards. I mean, he had this thing sized up. He just went like a center fielder and out-jumped the Jackson State defender for a spectacular grab in the end zone.
He just went over Keith Camp and brought that down because Camp was looking at it, playing the ball, and Clyde Edwards wanted it more.
I mean, the way it looked, I thought Keith Camp was pretty much sizing up the play for interception, almost like a punt. Now, I thought he was under it. He was going to catch it, but give Clyde Edwards credit for just out-jumping him and making a spectacular catch.
Point after by Tim Manuel is up, and it is good. 17-10. Like I said, fasten your seatbelts. This is a good one.
I mean, Clyde Edwards, I mean, his numbers have been down because of all of the double coverage he has been receiving this year, but wow, what a great play.
48 yards. It's thrown up. Landers escapes pressure, lets it go. But then, there he is, Clyde Edwards over Keith Camp for 6.
Hi.
The football version of the Thriller in Manila. Right here in Jackson, right so far, right?
I mean, these guys are like 2 heavyweights, and they're not throwing any jabs. They're just throwing haymakers and trying to knock each other out. And both of them have a lot of resilience. But look at Clyde Edwards' numbers coming into this game versus Jackson State.
That was a 35-yard drive, and you're talking about Clyde Edwards and what he's been able to accomplish this year. As you look at Brandon Landers on the sideline, he's thrown a touchdown pass today, and that is number 12 for him for the season. And again, they had the short field that they worked with. This one will be fielded in the end zone, and it'll be brought out to the 20. Let's look at the touchdown once again.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Landers, first of all, they had 3 holding penalties on 1 drive. One on the 3rd down completion that was taken back. I mean, he just throws this one up for grab, and it looks like number 5, Keith Camp from Jackson State, is going to make the play. But Clyde Edwards just out-leaping him at the end zone and making the touchdown.
And this is what he has done career-wise, including today. 22 receptions that's for Jackson State, against Jackson State. Clyde Edwards, 454 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's had a career just against Jackson State alone.
Well, I guess we should have expected him to get something going sooner or later, but wow, what a play to make, and what a time to make it if you're Clyde Edwards.
Oliver going to the air this time. Far side, Jamar Johnson has the catch and has the first down across the 30 to the 31 before Nigel Copeland ran him out of bounds. But you're talking about the record as far as Clyde Edwards is concerned. He was 2 touchdowns shy of tying a school record set by Scotty Anderson for touchdowns in a career back in between 98 and 2000. That was 34. He now has 33 career touchdowns, 1 to tie and 2 to go in front and become Grambling's all-time leading receiver. First down and 10, though, for Jackson State. Oliver, play action. Throws out in the flat, has it complete to Chris Johnson. Johnson down the sideline. He already has a touchdown. Finally driven out of bounds on the near side by Brandon Logan. Number 17 with the hit on him. The the grad student from San Antonio, Texas.
And that's why the coaches really love Jimmy Oliver. I mean, he's on the far hash, and look how under pressure he goes clear across the field with that pass before any Grambling State defender can make it. And then look at the receiver, Chris Johnson, with the yards after the catch. Yeah, he had 3 Grambling State guys there, and he just made them all miss, took the big hit at the end. And it's a good job of Jackson State in responding to that last touchdown pass by Grambling State.
In Grambling territory now, Jackson State. Oliver from the shotgun has a complete over the middle, gain of about 3 yards on the play, and this one will not get much more than that. Cedric Dixon on the reception that time.
You know, we talked with coaches about Jimmy Oliver, of course, our offensive coordinator James Woody, and they were like, sometimes we just, you know, you don't want to coach him too much because the guy is just a natural winner. He knows how to make big plays. Sometimes it may look messy, but at the end of the football game, he always seems to come out on top.
And it's second down now. Low snap, picks it up. Flag is down. We got a couple flags down. Maybe we had a little motion there. Let's see what this is all about. Been pretty well played ball game in terms of penalty markers, considering we're in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, where they've sometimes become flag happy. Well, we think it's flag day sometimes here.
Except for that last drive with Grambling State getting those 3 holding calls. I mean, the game has been extremely well played. Just a lot of big plays, a lot of big hits. I mean, a very exciting football game.
And this one is going to go against Grambling. That's going to be, they've got 2 penalties.
I think one was a late hit on the quarterback that was thrown by the referee, and the other one was probably an offside penalty. I always wonder what those referees are talking about when they huddle up in there.
Personal foul, roughing the quarterback. Be penalized from the end of the run with an automatic first down.
So roughing the quarterback is the penalty against Grambling, and that moves the ball all the way down to the 25-yard line. First down and 10. 17-10 is the score here. As you look at Rod Broadway, 9th coach at Grambling. It's hard to believe they've had 9 coaches after Eddie Robinson stayed there so long. Eric Hall gets the call, and he doesn't get much running room there as he's stacked up by Jeffrey Jack and a couple of other white jerseys.
Well, I don't think you can talk SWAC football or Grambling State football without talking about Eddie Robinson. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has 408 career wins, and he was just a great football coach, but also just a great American. He was all about patriotism, loving your country, loving your family. Of course, he also loved Grambling. The quote I like, he said, "I had the same job and the same wife over 50 years."
That's right. And I talked to him before, or before he retired. Said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "Well, the golf balls don't bounce right for me and the fish don't bite right for me, so I'm just going to stay on the coach a little longer." Eric Hall, the swing pass. Eric Hall still on his feet at the 10, the 5, and Eric Hall is at the 1-yard line. On the swing pass, Eric Hall gets about 22 yards before Stephen tripped him up.
Yeah, only 8 receptions coming into this game for Eric Hall, but it's always good when you have that screen where you can get your tailback out on the edge with the big blockers. And, hey, look at Chris Johnson with the block. You always like your receivers to block downfield. Good job by Eric Hall and great execution of this football play.
Eric Hall on the run. Number 3 rusher in the SWAC coming in. Number 5 in all-purpose yards. The last 2 games, 294 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. They've held him pretty much in check today as far as rushing the ball, but you see what he can do when he gets it in his hands in the open field.
Yeah, I mean, he's a football player, and you love to get him out on the edge. Now, we'll see if Jackson State can convert that good play into points on the scoreboard.
It is first down and goal. Hall, the second back in the eye. They give it to the fullback, Edward Lee, the sophomore out of Sunflower, Mississippi, Rouville High. A young man who's been in the National Guard, served some time in Afghanistan, and he gets to carry but can't get into the end zone.
I mean, nothing doing. This Grambling State defense is only giving up 14 points a game. They're +8 in a turnover margin. They play some pretty good football down here, so it's going to be tough to just run it across the goal line.
And they've given up only 5 rushing touchdowns coming into this contest. Full house backfield, and we get movement up front. Now let's see, was it illegal procedure? Was it offsides by the Tigers of Grambling?
Yeah, if it's against Jackson, it's a big play. Of course, it'll back them up 5 yards. But against Grambling, it's only half the distance. Not as big of a deal.
Dead ball. Offside. Defense. Remain second down.
So half the distance to the goal line. It remains second down and goal.
And Charlie, in these situations, I always like the quarterback sneak. Hey, he's right there. Just let him jump over the top.
And he tried, but the defense submarined everybody and didn't let it happen.
Well, it sounded like a good plan, didn't it?
Yeah, they listened to you. They said they're not listening to you anymore. You were a defensive player.
That's why I'm up here in the booth with you, because I can't coach.
William Nance was at the bottom of that submarine by the defensive line for the Tigers of Grambling to make sure it didn't happen.
But what was funny yesterday, we talked to Coach Comagese and, of course, offensive coordinator James Woody, who we both feel real highly about. He was like, Comagese said, hey, we just need to score points. I don't care about the exotic double reverse trick plays or saying how many touchdowns you threw for. All he cares about is getting points on the scoreboard. So he don't care if it's a quarterback sneak, tight end, fumble, rooski play, whatever. He just needs a touchdown right now.
They've changed quarterbacks. Trey Rutland is in there at quarterback. Now, Trey goes in about 230 pounds. That may be the reason he's in there. And we're going to have offsides against Grambling again. They committed an infraction. But Trey Rutland has replaced Jimmy Oliver in the lineup. Now here comes Jimmy Oliver back in.
Good gamesmanship by Jackson State. But you're talking about running the quarterback sneak, but you have Big 95 who goes
of the defense. Remain third down.
But you have Jason Banks who goes at 6'5", 300, and Melvin Matthews is a 6'5", 305. Some big guys up there.
Eric Hall, he's in.
There we go.
Touchdown, Jackson State. Eric Hall with his 6th rushing touchdown this year.
Good stand by Grambling State. I mean, they did everything they could to keep him out, especially when they smashed him on that quarterback sneak. But, of course, Eric Hall going in for the touchdown finally for Jackson State.
That was an 80-yard drive. Pretty good drive for the Tigers of Jackson. They come right back and they answer this thriller in Jackson today. And here's the point after by Eric Perry. He's had only one miss all year long to tie it up at 17 apiece. Jimmy Oliver, the holder. It is good. And we're all tied at 17 here in Jackson. Eric Hall on 3rd and goal with his 6th rushing touchdown of the year. 3rd leading rusher in the SWAC. Eddie Robinson, the legend who passed away this past spring at the age of 88 years of age. Came to Grambling in 1941, and 8 years later, Tank Younger signed a contract with the Los Angeles Rams to become the first player signed by the NFL from a historically black college. And of course, we know that Eddie Robinson went on to coach many, many years at Grambling. A lot of championships and a lot of players going to the NFL. And there's his wife, Doris Robinson, and she was honored here today with a plaque celebrating the 40th year of Jackson State playing here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. And of course, Eddie Robinson was the opponent in the first game played here between these two historically black colleges. when he coached the Grambling State Tigers.
And Charles, I think everyone has great memories of Eddie Robinson and everything he's done, for the SWAC and Grambling State also. Just well respected by all of the coaches around the conference.
Thompson on the return for Grambling out to the 25-yard line. And you talk about Eddie Robinson career record, 408 wins, just 165 losses, 15 ties, which is the second most wins in NCAA history. 9 HBCU titles, 17 SWAC titles, 118 players drafted into the NFL, and 4 of his former players are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Landers under pressure, nobody home. They're just going to call it incomplete.
Yeah, the Jackson State fans, they're very football savvy.
Yeah, they wanted
intentional ground. But he may have gotten outside of the tackle box. He did a lot of scrambling on the bootleg play, so he actually turned into a runner first. I think that was a good no call by the referee right there.
Second down and 10 at their own 25, all tied at 17 apiece. What has been an exciting ball game. First drive of the ball game, Grambling takes it down and scores 7-0, and then Jackson State answered with a 71-yard pass play, and they tie it up. A pair of field goals traded between the two teams. It was 10-10. Grambling scored on Landers' 48-yard pass to Edwards, and then Hall's 1-yard run, and we're at 17 apiece here in Jackson, Mississippi, on a great day for football in the South. Second down and 10. Going up top again. Caught again. Great catch again by Clyde Edwards. Clyde Edwards is just putting on a show. If you're an NFL scout here, here's a young man who's a senior from Houston. He just got himself a contract, didn't he?
Yeah, he got a Westbury High School in Houston. Look at him. He's just going up and making plays. Just great catches. He had an earlier touchdown. Here he just extends and brings in the catch. Good coverage on the play, but Clyde Edwards is just going up and making things happen from his wide receiver position.
Jeremy Pierce was the man he went over to make that reception, and it's first down and 10. Grambling in Jackson State territory at the 37-yard line. Straight ahead goes Warren, and Warren is inside the 30, down to the 29. They'll mark it at the 28. A gain of about 8. Second down and 2 for the Tigers of Grambling. You're talking about scoring defensive leaders for the SWAC this year. Prairie View 10.5 points, Grambling 14.7, Jackson 18.7. And you look at the similarities, scoring offense, Jackson State came in second, Grambling third. Defense, scoring defense, Grambling 2, Jackson 3. Total offense, Grambling came in as number 3, Jackson number 4. Defense, in total defense, Jackson was number 1, Grambling number 2. You wouldn't know it by the points on the board today as they get this one complete to Nick Lewis. And Nick Lewis takes it down inside the 20 and moves the chains forward for first down before Palmer makes the stop defensively. Malcolm Palmer for Jackson State.
Well, I tell you what, Charles, it's been a very exciting football game to this point, and I don't think any of the fans in the stadium, Jackson State or Grambling State, are complaining about what's going on, because you like to see points on the board. And trust me, these defenses are going to step up and make some big plays, but you have to give the two offensive teams credit for putting the points on the scoreboard, and also the special teams.
And no question about it. Grambling putting Dante Cheek back in, is like an H-back in the backfield, and they keep the ball on the ground again, running it straight ahead with Frank Warren, the SWAC newcomer of the week, last week against Pine Bluff, 92 yards and a pair of touchdowns a week ago.
I'm somewhat surprised the way Grambling State is able to run this football right up the middle of this Jackson State defense. You have Corey Clark and Big Dennis Coit. These are some guys that are over 300-pound guys, and they have good linebackers also, and Marcellus Speaks, who has 46 total tackles on the year. So we'll see if they can do something to stop this running attack that Grambling has brought to the party today.
Now the two-headed running attack is in the backfield, Walker and Warren, and it's a play action. pass out in the flat to Warren, makes a move on the inside and brought down for a first down right at about the 9-yard line by Malcolm Palmer, who's been busy on the defensive side of the ball today.
Yeah, and what you're seeing is you're seeing defensive coordinator for Jackson State, Darren Hayes. He started to bring a little pressure against Grambling. Some of those blitzes are coming up the middle because he has to try to stop the run. But when you blitz like that, you're going to have one-on-one coverage in the secondary with these receivers, with Clyde Edwards and the way he abuses Jackson State every time he plays them, and also Reginald Jackson. You better watch out if you play a lot of man coverage today. They're
going to measure for the first down to see if it was enough on the catch and run by Frank Warren, so it's going to be maybe a little short, maybe a half an inch of chain link. You got to get a microscope to see that one, huh? Rod Broadway, you know, Broadway played at Carolina, played there from 74 to 77. There he is, Broadway, assistant at Florida from 95 to 2000. They went to the Fiesta, Sugar, Citrus, and Orange Bowl. Then he coached at UNC in 01 and 02. They went to the Sugar and Peach. And, of course, he went over to North Carolina Central. And now he's here in Jackson today with his Grambling team. It is second down and inches. It was not enough for a first down on the reception. They're going to work out of the I formation this time with Dante Cheek, the H-back, the up back in the I, number 86. Warren is the second back there. Edwards in motion. Warren has the ball, first down with plenty to spare. It'll be first and goal, Grambling.
You talk about Grambling State in the red zone this year. I mean, they're 19 of 26, 73% with 13 touchdowns, third in the conference. So they've been doing a pretty good job of putting points on the scoreboard once they get inside that 20-yard line mark.
And the other stat that we haven't alluded to today is the fact that they've done a good job of protecting their quarterback. He's only been sacked 6 times all season long, and he's ranked 12th in the nation. That is their team in sacks allowed.
And that's a great job up front, and that's the credit to all of those offensive linemen and also that good running game and just Brandon Landers knowing where to go with the football, veteran quarterback.
Reggie Jackson in a slot to the left side. Landers looking to go upstairs, throws incomplete. Right behind Nick Lewis, who was the intended receiver.
I don't think Nick Lewis was prepared to make the catch, because if he catches that ball clean, even though it was a little behind him, he has a chance to score a touchdown. And I think Brandon Landers like, hey, pay attention, dude. I'm coming to you. You make that catch, we have 7 points.
No question. You know, you're talking about the fans here in Jackson. You know, they had struggled over the last few years before this season with the previous coach. In the first year, of course, last year they were 6-5. Even though they had a winning season, they weren't satisfied. Well, they find a renewed sense of pride in the fans here in Jackson, Mississippi, over this Jackson program. They were a little disgruntled after their 0-2 start, but with 4 in a row on the win column, they've gotten a renewed sense of pride. Landers, and a flag goes down, probably movement on the offensive side of the ball.
False start, number 72 of the offense. Remain second down.
You know, we look at the SWAC standings, a lot of ramifications coming out of this ball game, and one team that's watching this game with a great anticipation is Alabama A&M, because they're rooting for this Grambling State team, because Jackson State, in the same division as they are, has not had a loss this year, and Alabama A&M has won.
You're absolutely right, but they get a chance at the Tigers later on. They still have to play Jackson State.
In 2 weeks. Here's a pass, and this is incomplete. Intending is for Reggie Jackson, and they can't come up with the completion. Yeah, you're talking about Grambling. They play Texas Southern next week for homecoming. Then they travel to Alabama State, Louisiana Monroe, and then they close out the season Thanksgiving weekend down in New Orleans against Southern University in the annual Bayou Classic. So the road is a little easier for the Grambling Tigers going forward. When you look at Jackson State, their schedule, they play Pine Bluff, a tough team and a very dangerous team. And then they travel to Alabama A&M, Prairie View, close out against Alcorn here. It is third down and goal. Here's the pass. Out of bounds. They're going to call it a completion. How do you call that a completion?
He only needs 1 foot. We'll have to take a look at it.
Yeah, but it looked like the right foot was out before the left foot came down, although it's a completion to Tim Abney.
Yeah, it still brings up a 4th down play, so I think they're still going to kick the field goal, but the Jackson State fans really didn't like that call.
I didn't like it either, but maybe I'm not on the field. The referee was right on top of it. Because from up here, it looked like his right foot was out of bounds before he caught the ball. And yes, his left foot might have been out of inbounds, but you can't have any part of your body out of bounds and then catch the ball.
Well, but then, Charlie, it does move it to the wide hash, which makes it a harder field goal. So it may have been better for Grambling. Had that been an incomplete play, you can kick it down from the middle of the field.
This will be a 24-yard field goal attempt. Already Tim Manuel has put 1 through. This one is up. No good.
See, if there would have been an incompletion, he could have kicked it from the middle of the field, and he could have made it.
So the field goal is wide to the right. He's actually missed 2 today, but he got a reprieve on the first one. We'll be back. 5:36 remaining here in the first half of play, and as you look at Tim Manuel, a little dejected on the sideline for missing that 24-yard field goal. So Jackson State will start at their own 20 for the 2nd straight possession. The last one yielded an 80-yard drive and a touchdown. Let's see if they can put another one together. Quick pass over the middle, and it's complete for a first down for 15 yards. Out to the 33-yard line. Let's bring in a guest on the phone, Jimmy Smith, who played his college career here at Jackson State, went on to play for 14 years in the National Football League. He was trying to get number 15, trying to get up there with Keenan McCardle, and we're going to talk to Jimmy right after this play. First down and 10 for Jackson State. Jimmy Oliver under a little pressure, throws it out in the flat, has it complete on the near sideline, a gain of about 3 yards on the reception to Terrence Jones. And Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on today.
Always great to have you on here. And it's kind of ironic we're talking to you today, 40th anniversary of them playing here at Veterans Memorial Stadium, which you played a lot of your games here, and they're honoring that 67 team. Your dad was part of that 67 team who played linebacker here at Jackson State.
Yeah, my dad was a part of, we fortunately had a chance to be a part of that great group back then. It was the most players drafted in the NFL by any team. And just fortunately, he was a part of that group. And when I came along, we wanted to carry on the tradition. And hopefully, with my 11-year-old son, in many years to come, he'll follow the same footsteps.
So you're saying he's going to wind up at Jackson too, huh? He doesn't have a choice.
We'll see. He doesn't have a choice. He's a Blue Bengal for life.
Well, Jimmy, I mean, Jackson State, when you played there, of course, you were terrorizing my Alabama State Hornets, and you guys had a certain swagger when you came onto the field. You think this Jackson State team can get that swagger back and play with the type of confidence you guys did in the late 80s and early 90s?
Well, I believe so, and the way you get that swagger back is the bottom line. You got to win ball games, and you got to play with confidence. And I think once you, like the offense has been executing very well throughout the season, they had a slow start. But now I think they're beginning to build the confidence. They're beginning to execute and move the ball meticulously down the field. And once you develop that confidence in your ball club, it carries over to your defense and to your offense, and therefore you can have a winning ball club.
When you look back on your career, not only here at Jackson State, but in the NFL, what stands out in your mind as most memorable?
Most memorable is playing with the guys like Tim Barnett and playing against guys like yourself, Eddie Robertson. Eddie Robertson, I don't know if you guys know that Eddie Robertson is a legend in Alabama State. Just having that, just kind of like unpolishing that history that we once had back in the 80s. And that's the most thing that stands out for me, playing with guys who have gone on to the next level and have been successful.
Well, we're going to come back to you in a moment. We had a pass completion. It was a holding penalty on Jackson State. It was declined. It wasn't enough for the first down and to bring up a 4th down punting situation. So they'll punt it from their own 39-yard line. And again, very dangerous return man back for Jackson State, and that's Reggie Jackson. And it goes out of bounds, or it doesn't. It comes back inbounds. It looked like it was headed out of bounds, and it's going to die right at about the 23-yard line. That's where Grambling will get to work first down and 10. What are you doing now? I know you're still down in Jacksonville.
now is, after I retired 18 months ago from the NFL, I wanted to focus on my family and do something different, have a post-career. I spent most of my career trying to figure out what I was going to do, but then I decided, let me focus 110% on my primary job, and that's scoring touchdowns in the NFL, make as much money and lay the foundation in the NFL so I can have a successful and prominent post-career with my name being as big as it is here in the city of Jacksonville, and also coming back to the city of Jackson, there in Jackson State, and doing some work with the school. I want to put together an academy which develops youth both socially and academically, and along with that, we have a big problem with obesity with our kids, and nutrition is something that's very important. Is always looked over as far as kids, and also just being a mentor. You got a lot of kids that are growing up in single-parent homes, and kids need help. They need guidance, and they need the skills in order to meet the everyday challenges that we face in today's world.
All right, well, Jimmy Smith, it's so great talking to you always, and much success to you and the family and all in the future. And get a chance to speak to your dad, I'll tell him we got a chance to talk to you today, and thanks for joining us here.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy.
Jimmy Smith with us there. Great player here at Jackson State, and a 14-year NFL career, and what a receiver he was. His father was a linebacker here at Jackson State. He's already said his son is coming here. We saw a big run by Jimmy Walker.
Number 72 of the offense.
But then we get a holding penalty that's going to move the ball back. Muhammad Kareem, and we're talking about Jimmy Smith Sr. There he is. He's in attendance today, part of the 67 team that played his first football game here at Veterans Memorial Stadium against the this Grambling State team from Gulfport, Mississippi, 33rd High School. Went to high school with another good friend of mine, an NFL Hall of Famer who went to Jackson State, Lim Barney.
Lim Barney, great defensive back with the Detroit Lions, of course.
This time Walker again on the carry. He is not going to get away from big number 55, Anthony Atkins, the junior out of Long Beach, California. He's talking about Jimmy Smith throughout his career at Jackson State, a wide receiver from 88 rather, 91, played in the NFL, 02 to 05, 862 receptions, over 12,000 yards, 67 touchdowns.
Of course, I played at Alabama State from 88 to 91, so I played against Jimmy all 4 years. And him and Tim Barnett, you're talking about two guys who can go deep, pull a lot of fear in the defense. Then when I played with the Tennessee Titans, unfortunately, Jimmy was with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You had to see him again.
And he was still going deep on us again. So, I mean, he probably scored so many of those touchdowns against the defense that I played on. It's incredible.
You're still dreaming about having the nightmares, aren't you?
I mean, when I saw the touchdown.
They're calling pass interference on the far sideline, and it's again the intended receiver Clyde Edwards, Jeremy Pierce. They may bring this one. I don't know. They're talking about it. Was it catchable? Was it not?
Yeah, it seems like the ball was tailing out of bounds, so I don't know if the receiver would have had a chance to catch it. So we'll see after the discussion what the referees come up with.
They're calling holding on the defense. Jackson State faithful not happy with the call. Let's see if we can find it.
Yeah, that's a tough call because the Jackson State defender is simply running. He's simply running trying to make the catch. And the Grambling State guys actually.
Well, they're calling holding on the offense. They're moving the ball back.
Well, I think that's a good call. I was about to say it seems like Clyde Edwards is the guy.
Oh, they're going from the line of scrimmage. I'm sorry.
No, they're going forward.
Yeah.
That's a tough call for Jackson State because, of course, that's an automatic first down, and it gives Grambling State life with a minute 50 seconds left in the half. So
I knew that somebody from that officiating crew would throw a flag eventually.
Well, I don't see how you can make that call against the defender because he's simply playing the ball. And so he has a chance to go for the ball. And, I mean, he couldn't have held because his back was actually to the receiver. So
yeah,
that's a tough break for Jackson State. We'll see if they can overcome that and stop Grambling State in this situation.
maybe he hadn't thrown a flag today, so he figured I gotta get in on the act.
Now the referees don't have a quota. Now that's just a rumor that they have a quota in flags.
Here's an end around. Trying to get it to Clyde Edwards. He has some room down the sideline. Clyde Edwards cuts it back. Flag is down. We're going to have holding. Redemption, maybe.
Well, they owed them one, so. But once again, it's the receivers downfield who are getting these holding penalties. I mean, offensive linemen have been a pretty good job of not holding. But when you drill into those receivers, hey, guys, we need you to throw blocks downfield. We need you to make the small runs turn to big runs. Then, I mean, it's basically just an aggressive play. So from a coaching standpoint, it's something that you can live with because the guy is trying to help out the team, but he's just getting a holding call. It's not something that's a bonehead type of play. It's a play where you're actually trying to do good.
Broadway is beside himself on the sideline. He's all the way out on the field. If this was basketball, he'd have technical fouls being called on.
Well, because there's been 4 holding calls against Grambling State, and I think all 4 of them has been on his sideline. So that's why he's so upset.
Not only that, like I said, well, there was a holding penalty on
Number 85
Jackson.
of the offense, penalized box, still second down.
And that was on Cavaras Hills. And there's Rod Broadway. He is still not a happy camper. But you got to fight for your team.
You have to, and I think what his argument is going to be is that his receiver was actually trying to cut the Jackson State defender. So how can it be a holding play when you're trying to make a cut block? And I'm sure that's his argument. It happened right in front of him, so from his vantage point, he thinks he knows what's happened.
It is still first down, believe it or not. And Warren is hit, and he is brought down before he can get loose by Corey Clark, number 97, the defensive tackle out of Collins High, a transfer from Mississippi State.
And Charlie, you know, you liken this football game to a boxing match because everybody's throwing haymakers, and every time there's a big hit, you can hear the crowd just ooh, ah, because, I mean, these guys are really laying the leather today as far as going after each other and trying to really just knock the crap out of guys. And I think that's the type of intensity that you have when you have SWAC football back in action like this.
Little swing pass out to Reggie Jackson, and Reggie Jackson gets it up across the 40 to about the 44-yard line. Marcus Jameson there defensively, and Jackson a little slow getting up. Senior out of Birmingham, Alabama, came in as a leading receiver on this team and the leading receiver in the SWAC in receptions and receptions per game, and second in receiving yards per game at 76, and he was banged down pretty good.
And they really need him because him and Clyde Edwards work so well together. You have Clyde Edwards, who has 7 touchdowns on the year, which is second in the conference. Then you have Reginald Jackson, who's leading the conference in receptions per game. What he was able to do by stepping up as a senior and making these type of plays, they can't put the double team on Clyde Edwards anymore, so both of them are able to get open.
Rod Broadway still, as you look at the tackle on the receiver, Reggie Jackson still may have knocked the wind out of himself falling on the ball right here, but it didn't look like much of anything else as far as that tackle was concerned. But Rod Broadway still on the sideline, and he's still pleading his case to the head linesman on the far side, and head linesman didn't throw any of those flags.
Well, one thing I can say is that I've never seen a referee change a call. So you're pretty much working on the next call, or working on that call in the third and fourth quarter.
Plus some of these plays, even if we had replay or reviewable plays,
they're judgment calls.
They're not reviewable replays. And of course, Reggie Jackson going off on his own power. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll have former Jackson State coach Rod Page. Grambling State and Jackson State bands will be here. The Sonic Boom of the South and the world famed Tiger Marching Band, along with first half stats and highlights. Nobody leaves at halftime. They'll go to the concession stand after halftime.
You have the Grambling State Band, and then you have the Sonic Boom of the South, and they've been entertaining us the whole first half, so watch out for the halftime.
From the shotgun now, Landers throws as a complete. Good move on the inside after the catch by Hills, the senior out of Clinton, Louisiana. Hoskins on the stop. Kerry Hoskins defensively for Jackson State. The chains move forward. 30 seconds left before halftime.
Another third down conversion. Grambling State is 39%, which is first in the conference on third down conversions. They know how to keep the chains moving.
Clyde Edwards goes into a slot to the right-hand side, and they spike the ball to stop the clock. That is Grambling State University, and their quarterback, Brandon Landers, will go over to look at the coaching staff and get a play from the sideline.
If I'm Grambling State, I have to take at least one shot deep with Clyde Edwards, because on the deep balls, no one has been able to out-jump him. He's only 5'10", 175 pounds, out of Parker High School in Birmingham, but the guy plays really big. Every time they throw a deep pass, he's the one that comes up with the ball. So, hey, why not take a shot deep with number 5, Clyde Edwards?
I would hope that Darren Hayes, the defensive coordinator, has got his dime package in there and don't let anybody get behind you. They swing it out in the flat, and the receiver fell down. They were trying to get it to Clyde Edwards. As he tried to turn around, he just lost his balance down there, and Willie Williams is talking smack to him over there as they get up.
Yeah, if you wouldn't have fell, I was going to knock you down, so you better be glad you did fall.
Yeah, he just falls down, and look at number 27. That's Willie Williams. He's talking smack right there.
But it's actually good that he didn't catch that ball. From a standpoint of time, you only have 21 seconds left in the half. The clock would have been running had he made that catch.
Well, the clock stopped. I don't know. This clock is running, but that was an incomplete pass. So it's 22 seconds actually left in the half. Play clock is running. Here's a play wide open in the middle of the field. And who? Guess who? Clyde Edwards. First down at the 14-yard line. Dominique Johnson up ends him, but not before another first down with 15 seconds to go. The clock stops for them to move the chains. As soon as they're set, they'll start winding the clock, and they have already started winding it. And Landers spikes the ball to stop it. Let's look at Mr. Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, Clyde Edwards is just working across the middle of the field, and the safety is just playing too deep. I mean, you want to play safety, but you can't play in the end zone. You have to get into the football game, and you can't be scared to give up the big play. Jackson State has to be a little bit more aggressive in how deep the safeties are playing.
3 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown today. Not a bad afternoon for Clyde Edwards. 1 touchdown away from tying the school's record. Pressure. Landers under pressure. He just throws it way out of the end zone. He was under duress when he let that one go.
Yeah, and he was going to Clyde Edwards once again. I mean, that was the guy. He was going into double coverage, but Jackson State, and these guys are doing a good job. They have 21 sacks coming into the year, and they knew they had to get pressure on Brandon Landers. And good job there by Marcus Bernard. But Brandon Landers is a shifty quarterback. It's hard to get the sack on him. Even though you're all around, he does a good job of moving within the pocket and still getting the ball off before you can get the sack.
Well, we may have some kind of a penalty.
Offside, defense. 5-yard penalty, remain second down.
You know, that's what kills you sometimes when you have these, in this type of situation, you have a penalty, you get against the defense, but you lose the time on the clock.
Still lose the time, yeah.
You don't get that time back. So you've got 7 seconds remaining. The ball is at the 7-yard line, make it the 8.
Clyde Edwards is in a slot at the top. You better watch him.
Landers looking into the end zone, throws it away.
Good double coverage.
Good pressure again up front by Marcus Bernard. That's 2 times Bernard has put some pressure on the quarterback. So 3 seconds to go. They're going to bring the field goal unit on, and Tim Manuel, who has missed one today and made one. They'll spot this one right at about the 15-yard line. This will be a 25-yard field goal attempt. He missed a 24-yarder, but it's right down the middle of the field. The other one came from the left hash mark, the one that he missed. And let's see if Manuel can put this one through. From 25 yards away, it is good. And as the time goes down to 0, Grambling goes into the locker room with a 3-point advantage, 20-17. In this classic matchup here in Jackson, Mississippi. Rod Broadway, his team, has delivered some knockout punches, but they've also received some. And it's a 3-point ball game at the half. 20-17. A field goal is the difference. With more from Jackson, Mississippi. Let's listen to the world-famous Jackson Tiger, or Grambling Tiger marching band. To 17 here at halftime in Jackson, Mississippi. Grambling, Jackson State. Grambling with the 3-point advantage. The Sonic Boom of the South down on the field right now. And up here with us, we're joined by Doris Robinson, the widow and the wife of Eddie Robinson, who is honored here today. 40th anniversary of this game being played here at Veterans Memorial Stadium, the first time that Jackson's played a game here, and they beat Grambling in that particular game. I know you probably remember that. That was the only game that Grambling lost that year.
That's right. I remember it well.
Let's talk a little bit about all the things that and the tributes and the accolades that you've received since the passing of Eddie Robinson.
Well, they have been numerous. For one thing, I had to go to Washington to receive a gift from the Black American colleges, and last week I had to go to Dallas and receive something from the people in Dallas with that game.
You're so busy. You're just busy.
Yeah.
You're just traveling more than me.
Well, I'm doing the best I can, but I tell you what, I'm getting tired because Eddie now is the same age.
Well, I understand that. He was 88 years of age when he passed. You guys married in 1941, and I remember him saying for many years he's only had one wife and one job.
That's right. That is correct, and it was great the whole time through.
What is the fondest memories of being with Eddie Robinson for all of those years?
I don't know. That's going to be hard to say because there were so many of those moments. The main thing I cherish is when he decided to take me everywhere he was going, out of the country, everywhere, and that was great to me. After, when we had integration, nobody liked it. The whites didn't like it, the blacks didn't like it, and by then I was becoming disturbed. He says, come on and go with me.
Well, I mean, Coach Eddie Robinson, he did a great job of inspiring so many people throughout the years, and I think you and your family are just doing a great job of keeping his legacy going.
He was great. We want to keep it going any way we can.
Absolutely. I mean,
and I think Eddie Jr. is doing a wonderful job. Be sure to come to the Bayou Classic.
Well, I want to ask you one thing. Eddie always had a briefcase on the sideline. What was in that briefcase?
All kind of good things. I couldn't give his secrets away.
I kept saying it was a ham sandwich in case he got hungry. Well, Doris, it's always so good seeing you, and you've held up so well through all of this. And it's, you know, they've got the museum in the progress of going up on campus, on the campus of Grambling State University, and we wish the people involved with that so much success, and it's so good to see you here.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful to be here.
All right, thank you, Doris Robinson. And we'll be back with more. The Jackson State University Marching Band down on the field doing their thing at halftime. 20-17, the score. Grambling with a 3-point advantage over Jackson State. We're at halftime here in Jackson, Mississippi, Veterans Memorial Stadium for this SWAC matchup between Grambling and Jackson State, where Grambling kicked the field goal just before halftime, and they beat it by 3, 20-17. Eddie Robinson and Charlie Neal here, and looking at some of the first half statistics and highlights, and what stands out in your mind, Eddie?
Well, Charlie, I'm still trying to recover from that halftime performance, but I guess the first thing that has to stand out is Clyde Edwards. I mean, look at this guy. He has 3 catches for 115 yards. There you see a 49-yard touchdown completion. He's been pretty much uncoverable when they try to go at him. Here, once again, out-jumping the Jackson State defender. But what is this going to do for the second half? They started double-teaming Clyde Edwards at the end of the first half, and that's going to open it up for Reginald Jackson, which is he's leading the SWAC in receptions per game. So you can't stop both of these senior receivers.
No question about it. On the other side, as you look at Rod Broadway, who his team has done a pretty good job in the first half with 298 total offensive yards. Here's Jimmy Oliver for Jackson State. 10 of 12, 194 yards and a touchdown. And here it is, a 71-yarder as he escapes the defensive pressure and gets it out to Johnson, who takes it in 71 yards for the touchdown.
And that's what we needed out of Jimmy Oliver today. Jackson State wanted him to play a very consistent game. When you go 10 from 12, 194, 1 touchdown, and the biggest stat, he doesn't have any turnovers, 0 interceptions.
And we'll be back second half coming your way from Jackson, Mississippi in just a moment. Charlie Neal along with Eddie Robinson here as we get ready to start the second half from this Veterans Memorial Stadium. And let's take a look at some of the first half stats. You look at the total passing yards for Grambling, 220, 194 for Jackson State. And the total yards, only 190 yards for Jackson State, 298 for Grambling State University. And how does that equate when you look at that?
Well, I think the biggest thing you have to notice is that Jackson State doesn't have any rushing yards. They're -4. I mean, Eric Haw is a guy who's averaging close to 100 yards a game, so they have to get a little more balance. They're getting the big plays in the passing game. They're doing good with the penalties and the turnovers, but you have to be able to run the football against this tough Grambling State defense.
That's right. Eric Haw, as you said, not doing anything in terms of running the ball in the first half. Haw with a total of 5 yards. He has a touchdown on a 2-yard run, but more importantly, he's averaging 91 yards a game. Second half kickoff. Grambling kicking it off. This one being run back by Lavarius Giles, and Giles is down at about the 13-14 yard line. So Jackson State trailing by 3 points, 20-17, gets the ball to start the second half.
Of course, now is the time when the coaches have to make the adjustments. We'll see what Jackson State's going to come out with to try to get their rushing game going also. Jimmy Oliver, 10 of 12, 194 yards. Eric Hall, I mean, this guy had a big game last week with only 6 rushes for 5 yards, so they may have to show just a little bit more commitment for the run, but still getting some big plays in the passing game also.
Well, you talk about Oliver. He has a touchdown pass here today. He had 1 touchdown pass in the first 2 ball games, and that was the 2 that they lost. He's had 3 against Southern University, none against Alabama State, and 1 against Delta State and Mississippi Valley. So he's capable of putting up some numbers if you give him time to throw back there, and he's working out of the shotgun right now on 1st down and 10. And here's a handoff, and again the running is very, very tough for the Jackson State offense.
Well, you have big 65 Melvin Matthews and 95 Jason Banks. I mean, these 2 guys go over 300 pounds and 6'5" apiece, and if you can't move those big bodies out of the way, you can't run on the inside of that defense.
Eric Hall, the man that transferred from Ohio State, 3rd leading rusher in the SWAC, coming in out of Columbus, Ohio, a 6'1", 215-pound junior. Now they're going to go with the empty backfield on 2nd down. And Jimmy Oliver calling the signals. Throws out in the flat, has a complete on the near sideline. And on the receiving end, Terrence Jones. Jones gets it up to the 19-yard line. A gain of 5. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Jeffrey Jack there defensively for the Tigers of Grambling State.
Big 3rd down conversion here. That first drive, from an offensive and defensive team perspective, you always want to start off good, because this can really set the tone of what you're going to do in the second half. If Jackson State can convert on this, they can move on and get some more plays. If not, Grambling, a good 3 and out, they'll get their offense back on the field.
2 of 5 in 3rd down conversions in the first half for Jackson State. Oliver, he could run it. He could just take off and run. He's got plenty of room over there to get the 1st down, cuts it back, and is down at about the 29-yard line. And
we got some laundry on the field. Yeah, I mean, I think they may have roughed Oliver up just a little bit too much at the end of that play.
Maybe a face mask or something over there.
Personal foul. Man. But that's what Jimmy Oliver can do, because that play was dead. Grambling State, they got pressure off their line stunts. You can see big number 65, Melvin Matthews wrapping around the edge, but a 300-pounder is not going to get Jimmy Oliver.
Number 65 of the defense, 15-yard penalty.
Oh, yeah, Melvin Matthews came in after.
Well, I tell you why, because he was mad because he missed him in the backfield. So
yeah.
he figured, if I'm going to run 20 yards, I'm going to get a look on him.
Yeah,
but you can't do that. That's after the whistle. And it's a 15-yard penalty to cost your team some extra yards there.
Yeah, junior out of Clinton, Louisiana. Melvin Matthews, 305 pounds. And, you know, you could hurt the guy. He's down there unprotected. You come diving in on him like that. Oliver on 1st down and 10. Swings it out to Eric Hall. It's incomplete. Eric Hall didn't hold on to the ball that time. Zaire Wilborn was right in his face, even if he had a caught it.
Well, and with Jackson State, I mean, I know they're not getting a lot out of the running game from Eric Hall today, but the running game is something that takes patience. You still have to do it, because they're a big thing. One of their keys was ball control. They still have to control the clock. They can't just have short drives or 3 incomplete passes and let Grambling State offense get back on the field. So even if you run the ball and don't have success, just be patient. Eventually that running game will open up.
On 2nd down, 3 wide receivers comes to the bottom of the screen. Empty backfield for Jackson State right now. They faked the end around behind the intended receiver, and it goes incomplete. Chris Johnson was the intended receiver, I believe it was, cutting across the middle.
I like the design of this play. I mean, you faked the end around, you ran that a couple times, but that was just an example of Jimmy Oliver was rushed in his throw because of the pass rush that Grambling State put on him. He just didn't have a chance to really set his feet and throw a strike downfield, but you did have an open receiver.
So it goes incomplete and brings up a 3rd down situation once again. And now a timeout's being called by Jackson State as Jimmy Oliver is going to come over, talk things over with the Brain Trust on the sideline and see if they can get something going here and convert this 3rd down. And for up to the minute news on everything college sports, just log on to ESPNU.com. It's an online service that's the gateway to all college sports content from ESPN, with tons of exclusive material, including news, highlights, podcasts, live streaming games, and more. If you don't have ESPNU, be sure to log on to ESPNU.com and type in your zip code at the top of the page or call your local cable operator or satellite provider. Log on to ESPNU.com today because they are college sports. And just in case you joined us, 20-17 is our score here. All of the scoring done in the first half. Grambling took the opening kickoff, dove down the field, scored on a Walker 2-yard run. Jackson answered with Oliver's 71-yard pass to Chris Johnson. Perry and Manuel traded field goals for their respective teams. It was tied at 10. Landers a 49-yard pass to Edwards. Hall 1-yard run. And then Manuel's 24-yard field goal for Grambling as the half came to an end. And that's counted for the scoring in this ball game. And this pass is complete out of the backfield to Hall. Or is that Giles? That's Giles on the reception. And he's brought down by Zaire Wilborn. So the senior out of Benoit, Mississippi, and Brooks High is ranked 7th in all-purpose yards, moves the chains for the Jackson State Tigers. That's his 12th reception of the year. Oliver's moving the team again on 3rd down, converting those big 3rd downs.
Jimmy Oliver has really stepped up today. This is the best I've seen him play last year or this year, just as far as his presence in the pocket, knowing when to run, knowing when to throw it. When he throws the ball, he's very decisive, and he's hitting the open receivers.
So the up back in the eye is Giles. Play action to Hall. He wants to put it in the air. Too big, a little bit too big for Rodney Gray on the near sideline. Rodney Gray, the 6'3", 188-pounder, who dropped 3 passes against Tennessee State in their 2nd game of the season. It was a little bit too high for him to even bring that one down.
Yeah, that's one of the few bad throws that Jimmy Oliver made when he had time to throw in the pocket. But we'll see if they can still get something going with Jimmy Oliver. I mean, he's doing a good job of really managing this offense and not making any big mistakes.
They bring in Terrence Jones at a wide out. He goes to the top of your screen, empty backfield once again on 2nd down with 12:03 left in the 3rd. In motion is Johnson, and a flag goes down. Here's Oliver coming to the near side, and let's see what the penalty marker is going to be all about. They got a big test, this Jackson State team, a week ago against Southern University. That was a big win for them down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They came out with a 32-26 victory. Oliver 3 touchdown passes, and even though he threw 3 touchdown passes, he also was picked off 3 times in that game.
Yeah, but the biggest thing about that, from what Coach Comagese said, they got the very best that Southern University had to offer. You went down there on their homecoming. Southern was undefeated at the time.
Illegal formation, the offense, 5-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
Yeah, Southern was undefeated at the time, so he just felt so good about his team going down there in Baton Rouge. It's tough to win in A.W. Mumford Stadium.
No question about it. It's 2nd down after the 5-yard penalty, and 15 now for Jackson State. Oliver still on his feet, throws it out,
a play,
and it's complete. And somehow he made something out of nothing.
He's like a magician out there today. I mean, you just can't get to him, and that's the situation. Grambling State has the perfect play call. I mean, you have a defender coming free to the quarterback. That's what you want as a coordinator, and he's still able to make everyone miss.
Keith Hall finally made the stop, but Carlos Simpson made the catch, and he had the presence of mind to stand in there and let the quarterback have a target. They'll bring up 3rd down. We'll call it about 6 or make it 7. They're calling it 3rd and 8. But at least it wasn't a sack because he was in trouble. But they came with the blitz. This one, watch out, Carlos Simpson. Nothing doing that time as Nigel Copeland was there to make sure he didn't get up ahead of steam. The cornerback out of Birmingham, Alabama, who went to minor high.
It's a good job of closing by Nigel Copeland. This is just formation recognition. This is from film study. You recognize what's going to happen, you anticipate the play, and you jump it, and then you make a big hit for a tackle for loss.
Now with the officials sorting something out here, we may have a penalty on that play. Unsportsmanlike conduct, and this is going to be against Jackson State. That's going to move them definitely out of field goal range in the way back.
Unsportsmanlike, number 18 of the offense, 15-yard penalty, 4th down.
Chris Johnson, who has the big 71-yard touchdown reception today. Flag for the infraction. That'll bring on the punter, Brett Bennett.
Coach Comedy is asking, what did he do? He wants to get an explanation.
Well, he probably said something that he shouldn't have said. From their own 48-yard line, Bennett to punt it away. Good punt by Bennett. Fair catch called for, and it'll go into the end zone by Reggie Jackson. Timeout on the field. We'll take one here in Jackson.
That's it for the playoff.
1st and 10 for Grambling. Their first possession of the second half. They start at their own 20-yard line. Brandon Landers has gone all the way at quarterback for the Tigers of Grambling, and they keep it on the ground with Warren on the carry. And Warren gets about 5 yards before Anthony Atkins makes the stop. Anthony Atkins out of Long Beach, California, junior from Washington High. And there you see Brandon Landers' stats in the first half. 13 of 27, 200 yards. Frank Warren with 8 rushes for 40 yards. Clyde Edwards, 3 receptions, 115, and a touchdown. What a first half he had. And not so much the yardage, but the catches that he made all over people. Here's Warren trying to turn the corner, and he had never got a chance to turn it upfield as Dominique Johnson was there to string it out.
They're very impressed with both of the freshman running backs. You look at Frank Warren and also Cornelius Walker. Together in the first half, they had 78 yards rushing, which was an average of over 5 yards per carry. So that freshman tandem has really been effective in the running game against the Jackson State defense.
Landers, when he threw that 49-yard pass to Edwards, has given him a touchdown pass in every game so far this season. He had 4 against Alcorn, 2 against Alabama A&M and Mississippi Valley. And he's had a couple of games in which he hasn't thrown any interceptions this year. He did throw 3 interceptions in that loss to Pitt. Marcus Jameson on the stop that time of Warren. Warren with 200-yard games coming into the contest. 143 against Alcorn, 104 against Mississippi Valley, and Laundrie's on the field once again from the referees. Grambling will next take on Texas Southern for homecoming down in Grambling, Louisiana.
Unsportsmanlike. 5 of the white team offense.
What's with these receivers getting unsportsmanlike penalties? That's 2.
First down.
Well, they got 2 off sportsmanlike conduct.
I'm going to tell you what happens, Charles. When those receivers go out there to try to block and they cut those defensive backs, the defensive backs get mad. And then at that point, it's just an all-out war the rest of the time. So even though you have things going on the passing plays, on the running plays, there's also a lot of competition between the cornerbacks and the wide receivers. 1st
down and 10, Grambling at the 33-yard line. Warren again on the carry, and Warren up to about the 38-yard line, a gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5 for Grambling.
And Charlie, you started talking about the Grambling schedule for their big game against Texas Southern and the rest of their games, but they can ill afford to lose a game going down the stretch because you have that big Bayou Classic game at the end of the year. And if you look at Grambling State in their record book, they have a winning record against every team in the Southwestern Athletic Conference except for the Southern Jaguars, and they're 27-27 against Southern. Now they have a lot more titles and they're extremely good. I mean, they do a good job playing Southern, but in the Bayou Classic, it's just a flip of the coin of who will win that football game.
No question. As you look at the remaining schedule for Grambling, Texas Southern is their homecoming opponent a week from today. Then they travel to Montgomery to take on Alabama State, and they'll be at Louisiana Monroe for a non-conference game and close out the season in the Bayou Classic down in New Orleans, Louisiana, November 24th.
And Southern University only has 2 losses within the conference, so if Grambling does stumble before they get to the Bayou Classic, I mean, it'll be winner take all in that Bayou Classic game.
And Southern's playing Alcorn State today down in Baton Rouge. Warren again bounces to the outside, eludes 1 tackle, but was tripped up before he could get up ahead of steam, and it was Malcolm Palmer who tripped him up.
I tell you, with this big offensive line, these 2 freshman running backs, then you look at Brandon Landers, who's only a junior coming back next year. I mean, Rod Broadway has to be really excited about this Grambling State football team in 2007, but even looking beyond, they have a lot of good players on this team.
There's no question about it. I mean, both of these teams, if you look at the young line of Grambling, Everett Edwards is a sophomore, Reve Smith is a junior, Tavares Cockrell is a senior up there, Mohammed Kareem is a junior, Randall Bennett is a senior, you know, and then backing these guys up, you've got Corey Williams, a junior, Kerry Wright's a junior, Victor Phillips is a freshman. I mean, so there's a lot of future there for Grambling as Hills gets to catch, but they will not let him get loose. They were there right on top of him, Willie Williams.
Making the stop for the Tigers.
And it's going to bring up a 4th down situation for the Grambling Tigers.
And that was a great defensive series for Darren Hayes, the defensive coordinator for Jackson State. They ran a corner blitz with number 5, Keith Camp, but they know that Brandon Landers likes to throw into the short side of the field, so they rolled up the coverage and was able to stop him from getting that 1st down.
And it holds true. That scouting report means everything, doesn't it?
Hey, that film doesn't lie. If a guy does the same thing for 5 straight weeks, I can guarantee you he's going to do it in week 6.
Why change if it's worked? Flags are down. Let's see if the penalty flag will move the ball forward and give Grambling a 1st down as Jamar Johnson is on the return.
Yeah,
if this is offsides, it's going to be a 1st down for Grambling. They'll keep the ball.
Yeah, and that'll be a huge break for Grambling State. I mean, because Jackson State stopped them, and there you have it, the offside on Jackson State. Just a very bad time for a penalty because you just stopped them on 3rd down, and you're trying to get the momentum to catch up in this football game, and you jump offsides in a punting situation.
Punting situation on a 4th and 3, and the 5 yards moves the chains, and a 1st down is given.
Offside. Defense. 1st down.
Now let's look at the defensive ends. There they are, and they were, as the ball was snapped, they were trying to get back, but they were in the neutral zone.
Yeah,
so.
but Grambling did the old Dallas Cowboys offensive line where they went into up position from 2-point and they squatted down, and what that did was it jumped off the defensive line of Jackson State.
This time it's Walker on the carry, and Walker falls forward for about 3. Eric Hall, correction, make that Daniel Brooks there on the stop defensively.
If you look at that little slick play that they just did out of that punt formation, that really goes into the category of a trick play by Rod Broadway and the Grambling State Tigers, because Jackson State had the defense stay. They had their regular defense. They were expecting a fake or something to happen, but they still were drawn offside by the shift alignment of the Grambling State's punt formation.
This time Walker finds the going very, very tough as Dennis Coit was there to make the stop. The junior out of Newcastle, Delaware, who started his college career at Lackawanna Community College. And we've talked a lot about the young men who have transferred into this Jackson State program. And when we talked to Coach Colleges, he says, yeah, I still going to go after some of those Division I transfers or the junior college kids, but I want to try to start growing my own.
Yeah, I mean, he has great guys like Malcolm Palmer, who's only a sophomore, who's doing a great job. So he knows that he has to get some homegrown players.
Landers under pressure, throws, intercepted. First interception of the year, but the knee went down, but it's intercepted by Malcolm Palmer. The knee touchdown at the 28-yard line.
Yeah, the Jackson State faithful, they don't like that call if the knee touching down, but Malcolm Palmer, 3rd interception on the year, 42 total tackles, and here's a guy that really, from his freshman year, he didn't play a lot, but they said he had a great offseason, and that's what Coach Colleges was talking about, getting these freshman recruits, get them into the weight room, develop them, then they can become players for 2, 3, and 4 years.
Well, that's the 2nd turnover of the day for Grambling. And here's the the interception. That's when the knee went down. We'll be back.
If it's in the
2017, let's see if the interception by Malcolm Palmer, if his knee actually went down. From this angle, it looks like the hand may have supported him. Hard to tell whether the knee touched there. Now, on this angle that we're looking at here, Eddie, it's very hard to distinguish. And if you're an official on the field, it looks like the knee touched down there.
Well, that's a call. I mean, Jackson State will be upset about it, but I think it's so close you can't fault the official either way. And from the back judge perspective, it did look like the knee touched the ground.
And it looked like it from up here when I first saw it, so I wasn't surprised that they marked it where it is. But either way, it's Jackson State's second possession of the second half. The first one for Grambling ends in an interception. Let's see if Jackson State can capitalize. They trail by 3 here. This time a little fake to Eric Hall, and Keith Hall was there to make the stop defensively and wouldn't allow Jimmy Oliver to get loose. Number 44 out of Houston, Texas. All 3 linebackers on this Grambling State team are products of Worthing High down in Houston, Texas. Zaire Wilborn, Keith Hall, and John Carter.
Yeah, Charlie, you know, I live in Houston, Texas now. Just a lot of great football down there. And those players out of Houston, I mean, that's not a far stretch for Grambling to recruit. And we talked to him, and Coach Rod Broadway told us it's easy to recruit at Grambling. You look at all of the things that they have, the advantage that they have, and he said he has to go to Texas and get some of those players out of Houston and Dallas also.
No question, second down and 10 right now. Oliver under pressure throws, it's incomplete. Across the middle, he was trying to hit Rodney Gray with the pass, but it falls incomplete. Bring up third down.
And Jackson State has been living by the big play today. We'll see if they can have just a consistent, you know, ball control drive. But it's hard to do that when you can't get anything going in the rushing game.
You know, we got a chance at halftime to interview the 67 coach of this Jackson State team, Rod Page. They've had some great coaches over the years. Bob Hill was 40-12, had 3 SWAC titles. He coached Walter Payton here at Jackson State University. This is third down. Oliver throws, should have been intercepted, knocked away. Jeffrey Jack, and it's Rutland on the pass, and Jeffrey Jack defending. So they have brought in Trey Rutland, the junior out of Atlanta, out of transfer from Mississippi State. Yeah, left-hander.
Big left-hander comes in there trying to throw one, has a strong arm, but that's just a good break by the defender, Jeffrey Jack. Very fortunate that ball wasn't picked off.
So they were unable to move the chains or get anything after the interception, and that'll bring on Bennett to do the punting.
You wonder if something's wrong with Jimmy Oliver, because he's been playing a very effective game today, so I don't think it's a situation where they're upset with his performance. And it's blocked.
This one is blocked. And it's going to be down at the 21-yard line, so the punt is blocked. So a good opportunity for the Grambling Tigers. That's the second time this year that Bennett, the sophomore from Pensacola, Florida, has had a punt blocked. Let's see what happened. Who got through there? Looked like number 2 for Grambling State University, Lance Castleberry, the sophomore out of Dallas, Texas.
Well, it's hard to tell. It didn't seem like he really hit the ball. Maybe he deflected it just a little bit. Definitely a situation where the ball came off of the kicker's foot, and a great job by Grambling State putting pressure to get that kick block.
At the 21 of Jackson State. Great field position. And again, they try to get something going as far as the running game is concerned. That is the Tigers of Grambling State University with Frank Warren, the freshman out of Pleasant Grove. Let's go back to this punt once again. Was it blocked, or did they hit the punter? Let's see. Look, coming in. No, I think he saw. I don't think the punt was blocked. I think he tried to get away from the onslaught of the rush by Lance Castleberry, and he just let it go off the side of his foot.
That's what it looked like from this angle.
This one a little low on the near side. Abney, the tight end, couldn't go down and get that one.
What you're starting to see is Jackson State putting a little bit more pressure on Brandon Landers. They're playing man in the back end.
They still haven't sacked him today.
They haven't sacked him, but they knew they had to get pressure on him. But one thing Brandon Landers does a good job of is moving around in the pocket and buying time, and they have a lot of quick throws. So they knew that they were going to have to play good coverage in the secondary to give that defensive front four enough time to get the pressure on Brandon Landers.
3rd down and 9 for the Grambling Tigers, and they've got the wave going on here as Edwards is in motion. Landers looking in the middle of the field. He has it complete. And it's Nick Lewis on the reception down at the 15-yard line. Dominique Johnson there defensively for Jackson State, and to bring up 4th down.
And I think they're going to go for it because keep in mind their kicker, well, it looks like they're going to bring the kicker in, but the kicker has missed 2 field goals today, and the one that he made.
Yeah, he made 2. Yeah, he missed one.
Yeah, he missed one, but even that first one, he missed it, and it was an offside penalty, and he got a second chance at it. So he's been a little erratic kicking the football today for Grambling State.
This will be his longest of the afternoon. It'll be a 32-yard attempt. We're talking about Tim Manuel back there to do the honors for the Grambling Tigers. This one is up, and it's good. It splits the uprights. 32-yard field goal, and the lead is extended to 6 by the Grambling Tigers. 23-17 here in the 3rd quarter in Jackson. Tim Manuel has kicked 3 field goals today. The first time this year he's kicked 3 field goals in a ball game, and he has his team staked to a 6-point advantage right here. And the score 23-17. The Grambling Tigers on top.
We'll just have to see what quarterback comes out for Jackson State. Of course, Trey Rutland was in there for that 3rd down play. We don't know if Jimmy Oliver was just shaken up or they just wanted to give him a breather.
Manuel will kick it off. Big tackle there by Desmond Leonard, number 31, holding against Jackson State on the return. Richard Drake, our referee.
Holding, number 40, on the return team. Halfway down the penalty. First down.
Ryan Rich, guilty of the holding infraction. Let's look at the SWAC standings. Western Division, Jackson State trying to make it 5-0. Alabama A&M 3-1. And they're rooting for this Grambling team today as they play Jackson in a couple weeks. And of course, Grambling is 5-0. Their big game is with Southern. They still have a couple teams that have hopes there in Prairie View and Southern, but 2 conference losses. Jimmy Oliver back in. We saw Rutland in the last series, and we get the ball down on the floor. Let's see if Grambling comes up with it. They do, and into the end zone. They're going to call a touchdown. Zaire Wilborn.
Here's a young man we haven't talked about a lot today, but he comes into this game with 38 total tackles, leading the team, and what a big play. I mean, that's just a mistake by Jackson State, but great job by Zaire Wilborn, not only recovering the fumble, but having the presence of mind to get it into the end zone for the touchdown.
So that's 7 points. Make that with the extra point that they've given up on a mistake. Only the 2nd turnover of the day by Jackson State. They had a fumble in the 1st quarter, which they were unable to, that is Grambling, to put any points on the board because of it. And here's the point after by Manuel, and just that quickly the lead is stretched to 30-17.
And Wilborn, one of those players you talked about from Houston, Texas, out of Worthing High School, just a bad quarterback center exchange, and once the ball is on the ground, the Grambling State players are just uncovering people, and all of a sudden Wilborn is able to twist and turn and get into the end zone to give Grambling State a 30-17 lead, and it's going to be tough. Jackson State's going to really have to open up their offense to try to make something happen here in this 3rd quarter.
13 seconds between the field goal and between the touchdown. Grambling had just kicked a 32-yard field goal to make it a 23-17 game. And the first play for Jackson State after the ensuing kickoff They fumble it. Wilborn picks it up, takes it into the end zone, and it's 30-17 just that quickly. 13 seconds.
And keep in mind, Jackson State was doing pretty good. They had the interception by Malcolm Palmer, but then they had the block punt, which led to the 3 points by the field goal. Then you come back with a fumble that's returned for a touchdown. So that's really 10 points. That's not the fault of your defense that you're giving up.
But Grambling will take it, regardless of whose fault it is, right?
Tell you, like one of my great coaches told me, Dick Duran, what should have happened happened. So you don't apologize for getting free points.
This one goes into the end zone. It'll be a touchback, and it'll be brought out to the 20. Jackson State will get the ball again.
Marked at the 20-yard line. 1st and 10, Jackson State University.
We'll see how Jackson State responds in this situation. I mean, this game was nip and tuck. Yeah, the 20-17 game. You're only down by 3 coming into the 3rd quarter. You give up 10 unanswered points, so now you have to really step up your offensive performance. You have to go out of what's natural and make something happen. And now you see number 7, the big left-hander, coming into the game.
Trey Rutland.
Trey Rutland.
Yeah, out of Atlanta, Georgia. Ranked number 1 in high school in the state of Georgia, coming out of high school. Went to Mississippi State, started 5 games for them. And he's back in there. Here's a long pass. This one goes incomplete. Intended it for Christopher Johnson, defending Kenneth Anio, the junior out of Jackson, Louisiana. Here's Oliver on the sideline.
Keep in mind, I mean, Oliver hasn't played a bad game. I mean, he had a couple throws that were a little off, but his percentage was pretty good, and he also had a touchdown and no interceptions. But that last play,
no, I'm not sure what happened on that, but they put the ball on the ground, and Grambling took advantage of it, picked it up and put it in the end zone. It's 2nd down and 10. Throw complete over the middle. Coming up with the reception is Jones, Terrence Jones, and Jones has a 1st down at the 35-yard line, good for 15 yards. Jeffrey Jack there to make the stop defensively.
One thing I can say about Trey Rutland, the kid has an arm. I mean, he has one of those ooh-wee arms that just, you're like, man. That's what James Shaq Harris, of course, he was a former Grambling quarterback and now works with the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of their general managers, and that's what he talks about when he sees a quarterback that has an ooh-wee arm, where you just sit there like, man, that ball is moving with some velocity.
We're under 2 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. Pressure on the quarterback, Rutland. He has a little running room over there and decides to throw it. Has it complete on the near sideline, and another 1st down. They're going to call it out of bounds. How are they going to call that out of bounds? How are they going to call that incomplete?
Well, the back judge is conferring with the line judge to see if they're going to. Now
they both say it's incomplete.
Like I said, Charlie, I've never seen a referee change a call. You can argue with them all day long. Once they make it, they make it.
Maybe he's saying he was bobbling it. I don't understand it. Looked like he had it all the way to me. Let's see. Here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's knocked out of bounds out of his hands. I thought he took 2 or 3 steps before it was knocked out by the defender. What do you think?
Yeah, well, he never really had complete control. I think that's a judgment call that the referee can kind of go either way with, because he's switching it from one arm to the other, so he's not really having control. And then, of course, the defender put the hit on him and knocked the football out.
Well, he was taking 2 steps when it looked like he had the ball, but like you said, it's still 2nd down and 10. It's ruled incomplete. Rutland taking off and running. Cuts it back to the middle of the field, and he's good tackle there by Jeffrey Jack. But he still managed to pick up about 6 yards on the run. Jeffrey Jack there with the tackle, the junior out of Houston, started his college career at LSU and transferred. We're talking about some great games this past week in college football. Rutgers, South Florida. Of course, we saw.
Tell you what, I wouldn't want to be ranked number 1 until the last week of the season. So if you're ranked in the top 5,
poor Ohio State, huh? They'll take it.
Good luck.
Pass complete, near side, out of bounds. Carlos Simpson, flag is down.
Well, Rutland has definitely come into the game, and
I thought it was a flag.
Well, you've seen so many today, Charlie. I don't blame you for seeing flags.
I thought I saw a flag there, but no. but they moved the chains and it's a first down. And you're talking about Ohio State being #1, Boston College #3. LSU takes on Alabama today. That's a big game there. Oklahoma's at Iowa State. South Carolina is hosting Vanderbilt. Kentucky hosting Florida. Rutland, he just throws this one away. He's out of the pocket. Incomplete, second down. And you look at the Sheridan poll as far as historically black colleges and universities. Delaware State's at home today. I think it's homecoming for them, and they're playing Morgan State. Tuskegee was ranked 2nd in the Sheridan poll, taking on 5th-ranked Albany State. That's a big SIAC matchup there between Tuskegee and Albany State. Alabama A&M, they came out with a big win over Arkansas Pine Bluff on Thursday night in the game. We were able to do that in Huntsville. Norfolk State still on a roll. They beat Florida A&M on Thursday night. And of course, in this particular game, you've got Grambling and Jackson State. Grambling #6, Jackson #9. This one behind Jamar Johnson. That'll bring up 3rd down. Jamar was open, but Rutland just didn't hit him.
I think that's a situation where Rutland was expecting Jamar Johnson to sit down in that route. You had pressure coming off the corner, and Jamar Johnson just continued on running the slant route instead of realizing, hey, I'm open. They're running the zone. Don't run to be covered. You talked about Alabama A&M with their big win over Arkansas Pine Bluff on Thursday, and they would like nothing more to get another shot at Grambling State in the SWAC Championship game. Of course, they lost to Grambling earlier in this year.
3rd and 10. Rutland letting it fly. Caught at the 10. Jamar Johnson. They'll mark it at the 11-yard line. What a throw by Trey Rutland. I believe he beat T.J. McCord.
I tell you, he's coming in as a relief pitcher. He's throwing nothing but strikes. I mean, this ball is right over the defender's head. I mean, he just bought time in the pocket. And, man, he just flicks the ball down the field. I mean, he has a big arm. I mean, he doesn't have to do any effort as far as throwing this pass. And great job by the receiver just going on the opposite. Yeah, Justin going over the other shoulder, Jamar Johnson.
Yeah, because he was looking over his left shoulder, and the ball was over his right. He made the adjustment, turned the opposite way, and located the ball. On the option, here is the quarterback. He gets a yard to the 10. 2nd and 9 now.
Jackson State has been pretty much relegated to a passing team. I mean, they have done very little as far as rushing the football. When they came into this game, I mean, they were averaging 149 yards rushing, 179 yards passing. So they were a pretty balanced team before today.
And that's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter. We still have 15 minutes of football left here. 30-17, Grambling over Jackson. Here in this ESPN Classic game here in Jackson, Mississippi, where Jackson State has the ball just inside the 10, where they're facing a 2nd and 9. They can